Today on the stand, and she's going to talk about the jail conditions in which she had to endure. She's very upset. She is not happy at all. Now, if you guys didn't watch my video that I posted last week about everything that's going on with Donna Adelson so far, today we have what's called an Arthur hearing, where I gotta pull this up because I'm not gonna have this memorized. When a person has been arrested for a crime in Florida that is a non-bondable offense, they have a right to ask for an Arthur hearing. A non-bondable offense is usually punishable by a maximum sentence of life in prison. I believe she tried asking for bond and that was denied. And so basically, what we're trying to determine is whether or not Donna can get out on bond right now while she waits for her June trial that's happening. And so what's going on is that Donna Adelson is saying that the jail conditions are awful. Yeah, surprise, surprise, right? In addition to that, though, she's also dealing with some abuse, as she says, that are happening from other inmates. I have a file here that I could just pull up really quick because I don't have everything on top of my head. And I just want to make sure I have everything covered. So again, Donna Adelson was arrested. She was supposed to have her trial about half a year ago. That didn't happen because there's issues with the attorneys. One of the main attorneys that she hired was the attorney for Charlie Adelson, her son, and there was a conflict issue that arose roughly, I think, a day before jury selection, or maybe it was the day of jury selection. And so Donna Adelson talks about how she's having issues with medical stuff. For example, she has very small, delicate ear canals that needs to be cleaned by a special ENT every 3 to 4 months. She's got legs, she's got back issues that's not being relieved by the current medical care. She's also got some experience of shortness of breath, where inmates and other people are commenting of who the hell is in the room breathing so damn loud. There was also something that happened where Donna Adelson was like in the bathroom area and then she bumped up against a washing machine. She had a cut on her right arm and that wasn't properly addressed for a bit. Now, what's interesting is that I was looking through some other documents and the state attorneys, they requested footage of the washing machine. So I wonder if they're going to try to say that did Donna do this on purpose, or if they just want to make sure that Donna got hurt the way that she said she got hurt. And it's just not a way for her to get out on bond. So medical care that simply cannot be obtained at the detention facility. She needs an appointment with an ear, nose, throat specialist, an orthopedist, and physical therapist at a minimum. I mean, this woman is she's like 75 years old, Being in jail is going to be very, very uncomfortable. She talks about the attorney-client privilege, how same thing with Sarah Boone, where it's like, I'm trying to have a conversation with my attorneys. I'm trying to look at my legal documents, but I don't have proper area to do it. People are listening, or people can see my documents, or people might be able to steal my documents. So similar stuff like that. She talks about the lack of sleep. So she talks about, this is her schedule here, how she barely gets any sleep, maybe 2 hours on average, she claims. Now, she talks about the physical abuse. This is with other inmates. She talks about an incident where she's like taking a shower, and then there was an inmate that came up on her and like ran her hand behind her spine. Ugh. Another one was being knocked into the bed frame. And when Donna turned around and asked, why did you do that? The one was like, well, because you're a fucking killer. Third incident, which to Donna, this is where I think I saw her, she was like crying on the stand. This one seems to really upset her. She was like standing around and then someone like violently jerked her arm behind her back. And then this is where she was essentially forced to get canteen for this inmate from then on. Now, there was a jailhouse call, I think, with Harvey Adelson where she says, oh, I need to send me packages because the food is fucking disgusting. Now, what I'm wondering is because, I try to give people benefit of the doubt, but with Donna Adelson, it's hard to give her benefit of the doubt sometimes because we know what a crafty person this woman is. I mean, she has been out, she wasn't arrested for over like 10 years. And she's been doing some weird manipulations behind the scenes, with Charlie Adelson, possibly with Wendy as well. And so I wonder if she had a jailhouse call where she genuinely complained about the food being disgusting and she was getting these packages. And then later on, maybe this incident does happen. And then she's like, oh, retrospectively, she's trying to use this as, well, actually, I didn't really mean the food was disgusting. I only said it so I can get canteen for this individual. I don't know. That's how my mind runs. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So we're going to hear her testify on the stand today. Apparently, we're going to get some jailhouse calls. We're going to get some testimony. I don't know if we're going to get testimony from the other inmates, but maybe the security, the staff that works there. And so essentially, because of all the stuff that's been happening to Donna Adelson, she didn't want to report it, but there was a medical staff that saw her injuries, and I think she ended up talking about it. So Donna Adelson was like, okay, well, this is what happened to me. And how did they treat me afterwards? Well, they put me in solitary confinement, she claims. So apparently she's been in solitary confinement Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 1 hour in the morning And on Tuesday and Thursdays for 30 minutes, she's allowed to go outside. She's released. She has no contact with anyone else. She can only use the time to shower, walk on the rec deck, or watch television. Other than that, she's in complete lockdown in a 6x9 room, has a bed, a toilet, and a sink. Note, the toilet is in full view of the window on the door that is approximately 4 inches across, 4 foot or 4 inches, I don't know, by 30 foot high, 30 inches high. 4 feet across by 30 inches high. They claim that Donna Adelson is not a risk to the community and she is not at flight risk. I mean, this woman she's got wealth, okay? Yes, they may have taken her passport away. Yes, Harvey is like 80 years old and he might have moved closer to the jail, but like, I don't know. Donna not being on flight risk. I mean, they arrested her when she was on her way to Vietnam. I think it was a one-way ticket, if I remember correctly. They say that she's not a risk and harm to the community. So, according to this, it says what happens at an Arthur hearing. There's 2 different phases. Phase 1, there's a mini trial held. There's 1 judge present. During this phase, the judge has to listen and consider the testimony of Donna Adelson. The prosecution has a burden of proof, meaning they have to show there is no question of the defendant's guilt. So I don't know if, interesting. I don't know. This article says there was an Arthur hearing, but do they have to really talk about Donna's guilt in the case? Maybe. And then there's a phase 2. It's been decided where discretionary bond is appropriate. Such things where the court considers whether the defendant's prior record, serious is the crime. I don't think Donna has any priors. And whether or not the defendant poses a flight risk. Yeah, I think she definitely poses a flight risk. Even if you took away her passport, I'm sure she's got a way to get out of the country, okay? Or a danger to society. Do I believe she's a danger to society? No, she's been out. After the murder of Dan Markel, who was like probably her number 1 enemy, she's probably just been chilling for the past 10 years, but still. All right, guys, let's listen to today's hearing. And, the good thing about being a little behind, we can catch up. All right, let me just say hi to you guys real quick. Hi, Erin. How are you doing today? How's it going? Hi, Pi. Hi, Seffi. Hi, Taxi. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. She's a professional at whining. She's going to be testifying in the stand, so I'm interested to hear if she's going to be a very compelling witness. This is also preview into her murder trial as well, because I'm sure she's going to testify in the stand, just like Charlie Adelson did. Charlie Adelson testified, and he was, he really thought he did a good job testifying and that he was convincing. And by the time when they decided to convict him, he was like very surprised. Like I remember after he testified, he was like on the Jailhouse calls with Donna saying like, oh my God, I did such a good job testifying. Even my attorney told me I was so good in the stand. Like, oh my gosh, like he probably thought they're going to come back with not guilty. So Donna's going to be testifying in the stand. And I think it'll be good to see how she's going to be on the stand, to see if she's going to be potentially a convincing witness, because what she's going to convince us is the same thing that Charlie tried convincing us, which was, I was blackmailed. I'm not involved in Dan Markel's murder. They try to extort me, stuff like that. So let's get in here and let's listen. Hi, Shaniko. How are you doing today? Good to see you again 2 times in a row. Moondog, hello. Lady, yep. If you don't like the prison, don't commit the crimes. Yeah, she's having a hard time. I can't imagine being old and being in jail. It doesn't seem comfortable. Doesn't seem super comfortable. All right, y'all. Let me get this up. Sorry, I should have had this already. Hopefully the audio is good. I think usually audio is good in this court, so I think we should be okay. I'm going to have the captions up.
Come back to the witness stand.
Ooh, wait, just kidding. I think this is the courtroom where the audio kind of sucks. Damn it. It's good and loud. It just feels like
your hand, sir.
It feels like you're in a fish bubble.
Affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth. I swear.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I forgot I had it slowed down. I'm sorry.
You may take your seat.
Hi, Kat. How are you doing today?
Examine when you're ready. Thank you, Your Honor.
It starts here, but I want to see if we missed anything. Tallahassee Democrat. Let's see what they got. I think they're on break right now. All right, people coming in. Donna comes in, I think. Yeah, here comes in Donna. Is it me or does Donna already look upset? She looks very upset. I'm eating my breakfast, but I'm gonna wait until they start testifying in the stand.
I already tried. Okay.
I don't know, man. Like, I understand that shit does go down in jail. Definitely not sunshine and rainbows. I also wonder if it's like another ploy for her to just try to get the fuck out of the country. Given the circumstances that they arrested her in, you know?
All right, court is now in session. Judge Stephen Everett presiding.
Judge Everett!
Morning. What's that? Oh, that's fine.
What's your favorite true crime case? I don't know if I have a favorite true crime case. It's more like I might have some favorite interrogations. There's this one case that was like artful to watch. Stephanie Lazarus, her interrogation. So Stephanie Lazarus is a police officer who is accused of murdering a guy that she really liked, fiance, back in college. And that was like 20 to 30 years later. And so out of the nowhere, they decided to interview her. And dude, they fucking got her. They got her. Did you guys catch up with the Karen Reed stuff yesterday? Wild. She looks like she's trying to look upset.
I got the email about 9:15, so.
You're not there.
Okay.
Sometimes your doctor will move things along, and sometimes they will not.
The Fritzel case. I've never heard of the Fritzel case. So this is Sarah Dugan. And then I don't know if we see Georgia Kappelman. Okay, I'm just going to forward through this a little bit. I think the microphone was picking up their conversation a little bit. All right, so Donna Adelson has a new set of attorneys.
For me to take a break as to the suppression hearing, which will start first, we'll take your client's testimony at 10, and that way it should not cause you any difficulty with moving on with your babe.
I appreciate it, Judge.
All right. For everyone on the Zoom as well, the audio will remain up and running. However, there will be a still frame over my face. I'm sure as riveting as it is to see me talking.
Does it sound like there's a tornado warning of some sort in the background?
Nothing else is going to be occurring over Zoom.
Like a weather
It's all going
alert?
to be taking place in the courtroom. So you understand if you hear things, but you don't see anything going on. We'll get started at 9:15, as we previously stated. Parties at sidebar.
Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the other stream because they have captions on. The Tallahassee Democrat, I love you guys.
Morning, sir. Can you please introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Jason Newland, Jasonnewlin.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm an investigator with the State Attorney's Office here in Tallahassee.
So you're sworn law enforcement?
Yes, 21-something years.
Okay. And as part of your duties with the state attorney's office, have you been trained in reviewing calls made from the Leon County Detention Center? Yes. And is that through?
Oh, we're going to have the jailhouse calls from him. The video does stutter here and there, by the way.
Securus?
It is now, yes.
How does that system record inmate calls?
How does it record? That's usually proprietary stuff, but I know the inmate they register an account, they set up a password, and then to complete a phone call, they have to go through a process of using a PIN, calling the number. Each party is advised the phone call will be recorded, subject to monitoring, and then the called party has to accept a phone call before it's completed.
Before the call can be connected between the two parties?
Correct.
Okay. And you indicated that the inmates are given its PIN number?
The inmates pick their own PIN number
Okay. And the inmate has to enter that PIN
at some point during the process.
And is that intended to ensure that the calls are tracked by the inmate making the call?
That's the intent.
Do you know whether or not an inmate's PIN can be used more than once simultaneously for calls? So if an inmate is using their PIN to make a call, that call goes through, can someone else use that PIN?
I do not.
And the secure system, it's a digital system, the quality is very clear, correct?
Sometimes it's rough.
That depends on the inmate and the called party.
And the device used, you have the tablets and you also have the phone booths themselves.
Now this system, it's designed to intentionally record these calls, correct?
Yes.
And it records those calls from call acceptance to termination.
Correct.
When does the call terminate?
Usually when both parties hang up.
Actually, are they addressing, because Donna did have a motion filed where she wanted evidence suppressed, and it was a jailhouse call between her and Charlie Adelson when Charlie was convicted the day after. And so they had a phone call, and I guess Charlie ended the call, and then Donna just forgot to hang up. So the call continued to record for like 8 minutes or something like that. I wonder if that's what they're addressing right now. I know, I always call it prison bread, but it's called killer bread. So good.
SCP.
I'm familiar with how we access it. I'm not familiar with the intricacies of Securus though now.
Right. But you've been trained on accessing that in order to collect the calls.
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with a feature that Securus offers that they call covert alerts?
I'm familiar with it.
Did you create any covert alerts concerning Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, or any other individual that Charlie Adelson?
I've never created one for any case.
Now, subsequent to
Cat.
Charlie Adelson's conviction, did you create a report that's 24 pages in length based on the calls that Mr. Adelson was making from the jail?
I did what I refer to as an extraction of the Securus information for a specific time period, and it produced a report.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm going to approach and show you what's been marked as, for identification as defense 1. Report that eyes reflect
The same one. Yes.
I'm gonna forward it a little bit to get to the calls.
Referred to as a call that was made July 7th, 2023 at 14:57:01. I believe it's call 562 on that report. You familiar with that call?
Yes, I am.
You had an opportunity to listen to that call.
Recently, I glazed over it a couple days ago, but not the entirety of the call. I just want to make sure I had the same call again.
Okay. And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Your Honor. The second call. Number 5:46 a.m. on November 8th of 2023.
Yes,
You had a chance to review that call as well.
that one I did review.
We got lots of jailhouse calls
I'd like to
between
start with the over line call, which is call 562.
Donna and
Agree.
Charlie.
Would you agree that that call, according to this report, Exhibit 1, is 26.12 minutes in length?
Yes.
I'd like to play, Your Honor, I'd move into evidence call number 562 as defense 2.
Any objection?
No, sir.
I'd like to just play approximately 8 minutes of that call. May I publish?
You may.
All right, 8 minutes. July 7, 2023. After Charlie was... Wait, no. Wait, hold on a second. 2023. When was Charlie incarcerated again? Is this 2022? Oh my God, did that much time pass by? What? Crazy. All right, I'm going to slow it down now.
An incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recording, press 1. To safety reducing security. You may start the conversation now.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, but
Investigator Newland, that recording that was just, the recorded voice that was just heard, is that the recording that you referred to earlier in your testimony?
The notification to both parties?
Yes.
That you're being recorded, yes.
I heard what you said, and the chief, and then it just went.
He was supposed to be the same guy who said he was going to call Dan back for a copy or whoever called him back. But Chief's back, and the chief of the whole jail. Come by and check me out. So what's that? He has not been there yet. He has not, but the psychologist, PhD, whatever, she came by, and I said,
Something about a psychologist or someone with a PhD came by. Dude, this is so hard to hear.
sure, like, it's looking outside the window, you know, it's just out into the hot, and it's like, you're sitting in like a box. There's one, yeah, it's a big I sat on I had before, but I could look out the window and it's a hot. Here, it's like a box. So like, you can't see it, it's a mirror, they can see in and you can't see out. Is it can get this guy to come sooner? Did that be she's back on the fucking jail. Just get about winter calls. Hey, we'll come forward. And I'm sure the psychologist that you will find, so it's just a matter of waiting for that and waiting for the chief. Yeah, they get the returning for her, and then, you know, all the Navy, all. I got 33% off on my phone. In the afternoon. No. It's okay, we're 15%, so you switch the little battery and take her on, and then it's like, you know, you just isolate them, you see it, yeah, we'll around. Of course, yeah, and that's how, it's like, you do it the opposite of what I would be at home. Right, in the situation. I know, but all right, it sounds like if it's not today, they'll do it tomorrow, you know, but hopefully today. But then I don't you know, you're gonna.
I don't know. There's something that they want to be done. Hopefully today, if not tomorrow. Charlie's talking about a window. I don't know if Charlie's talking about like being in confinement. It's hard to hear.
Like, you know, standing up all this happened now, like, take it out, like, what was around and all. I know that it's so, like, the solitary, I mean, I get why to do it, but this is like, you know, the company is a day on like a plastic box. I rolled up my mattress upstairs and brought it down here, and my bed sitting in a box.
Yeah, I think he's talking about like being in a plastic box, being in a box.
Keep about 6 foot box for all the center of the room, where I used to walk back and forth, middle on, and I could like walk up and then around the bed and then back. But the same story with like the shadow of the phone before, not until 6:30 that's all, is that every year? Yeah. And I'm like, just checking
Yeah, I think this is when he was awaiting trial because I think he was convicted in November 2023.
Checking in with me. Okay. it's not there. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, they work hard. He's still not happy. I thought he had left. Thank you very much for your day. I get to write up. You know, so whatever it is, and they open up an inquiry, they ask the judge. Okay. The investigation. You know, he said, this is maybe the kind of thing. Yeah. 9 months from now, the juror writes something stupid. Why, and they investigate, and they find out, like,
Something about investigate, and then they find out. I think he said juror, but I'm not sure.
and they find out something, and then we will open it, and then it gets possibly lead to an appeal, you know. I think really got the judge let a lot of stuff in to the case, and he did that because he didn't want an appeal. You know, the judge rules, I guess there's most television issues that can come up, like that guy, Hank, Hankerson or whatever. You know, I guess the harder the judge rules on the issues that are in the trial, the more likely there's to have television. Here the judge is in favor of the defendant, the more likely there's to have television. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
I don't know, something about a judge being in favor of a defendant or something. Do I think she realized there's no way she's going to be found not guilty? I think she's going to basically use the same defense that her son did, that she was extorted. I'm like, it didn't work the first time. The best way for her is just to blame everything on Charlie. Honestly, they should just finger point at each other. It was Charlie that did it. Donna should point his fingers at Donna. My mom was the one who orchestrated everything.
My general feeling, this is just my feeling, I'm not a lawyer, but my feeling is that he ruled, if, you know, if anything, he gave the benefit of the doubt because he didn't want to be the felony.
Someone gave Charlie the benefit of the doubt.
Is that what you think? Well, I mean, he made that comment to me, that the judge ruled in our favor a number of times. You know, he let us bring stuff in. Either said it or I heard it, that he meant it, that there's not going to be, you know, what things to say that were not wrong. I mean, you have to either say that the judge did something, then it gives your due process. You know, if you're going to do anything improper, things improper, right, what's your reason for wanting to trial? If there was an appeal, would it have to be in Tallahassee? You move it. But I don't understand why they would let you move things. I don't. It's blatantly, I mean, look, I have, I didn't say this to you before I picked up the phone, but there's a lot of things that we have to do, and we've got a very tight time frame. So one of them involves taking care of some things for Roman, taking care of some things through Steinberg. Sam's been on the phone all day, and Susan was nice enough when I told her. She said, I'm going to gather everything up, and I'm going to drive down. So she and Rick got here about, 10 minutes before you called, so that she could work with us. We've got a couple of hours of stuff to take care of for Roman. So, working on that, and you're going to be okay. You're going to get out of that stupid room. Once you do, you'll start to feel a little bit better. I know that. And when I have something that I do need to tell you, I'll speak again. Okay? So, and then I'll let you know what time to call him. Can you hear me, Joey? Shit. You can't hear me again, right?
Investigator Newland, at that point, according to recording, Mrs. Adelson realizes that Charlie is no longer on the call. Correct?
That's what it appears.
Okay. Now,
But it keeps recording.
referring back to defense one,
I think she forgot to hang up.
That was call 562. At
Or is that a different one?
15:07 or 3:07 and 7 seconds, does Charlie Adelson attempt to call his mother back in call number 561?
He does.
And then at 15:08,
What? Hi, Kathy. You should watch the interrogation of the Canadian Air Force pilot who was charged with murder. The detective was a master of his job. Oh, I like watching good interrogations where it's like a slow roll, patience, you know? Get him. I haven't heard about that before. Canadian Air Force pilot. Hey, Salsa. How's it going?
3:08 and 51 seconds.
Not the honey
Does
buns.
Charlie Adelson attempt to call his mom again in call number 560?
Hi, Ray.
And then at 15:13 or 3:13 and 25 seconds, does Charlie Adelson attempt to call his mother a fourth time in call number 559?
He does.
And then at 15:13 or 3:13 and 51 seconds, does Charlie Adelson attempt to call his mother a fifth time in call number 558?
He does.
And then again, at 15:22 or 3:22 and 33 seconds, does Charlie Adelson attempt for a second to call his mother back in call number 557?
He does.
Were calls number 557, 558, 559, 560, or 561 successful?
They were not.
And why is that?
I do not know.
Is that because his PIN was already in use?
I don't know the answer.
But does that indicate to you that Charlie Adelson had been disconnected by 15:07 and 7 seconds, or 3:07 and 7 seconds?
Yes.
Now, call number 547. According to Defense 1, that call was made at 6:38 in the morning.
Yes, it is.
And you indicated earlier in your testimony that you listened to that call recently.
I skimmed through the initial 60-plus minutes to the portion where we had a situation as the call we just listened to.
So, Your Honor, I'd like to introduce Defense Exhibit 3 and publish. And I'm only going to publish very briefly.
Any objection from the state?
Yes, sir.
Defense 3 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hello, this is
Go.
prepaid collect call from an incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1. So thank you for using.
Again, in Defense 3, recorded call. I'm going to fast forward, and I'll start this at 57 minutes and 13 seconds.
What else can we have done? Anything else that we could have done that we didn't do? And now we had the best. And we had the choice of we had the best. And we had Tallahassee. And I didn't listen. Listen.
So at that point in time, approximately 58 minutes, a little bit past that, do we hear Donna realize that Charlie's no longer on the call?
It appears, yes.
Darn that jailhouse connection. Not the most reliable.
What do you like? Is happiness involved? Yes. That's right.
What we're listening to now, Investigator Newland, is approximately an hour, 2 minutes, and 50 seconds is when that portion of the recording started. At this point, we're at 55 seconds.
I don't have a private line. So they need to hear me tell Dad to call Annie, or they're gonna hear me tell Ed? They might as well do this. I mean, what's the option? Or are they cutting him?
I believe if you want to listen to the clear versions of these jailhouse calls, they're like all uploaded on YouTube. I don't know if they're like organized nicely and it'd be easy to find them, but I know that there's a bunch of jailhouse calls on YouTube somewhere.
No. Not necessarily. But how about that this business and the possible to be talked a lot about, and it involves.
I think I got the wrong timestamp there. Just give me a moment.
I'm gonna call. Maybe I'll call her before Wednesday comes. I'll call them, Charlie calls them, and get off, so, yeah. So the things that we wanted for him, we'll talk about in more detail later. So our focus first, you need to come here, but I realize that, most of everything we can do, I'll have to tell them, we're leaving the country. They're not recording my phone. If they are,
I think this is a jailhouse call where she forgot to hang up and she didn't realize they were still recording the conversation.
They're not recording my phone. That's what she just said on the recording, correct?
Followed by something if they are, something.
Now, as with the calls on November 7th,
I think November 7th was when he was incarcerated, convicted.
after disconnected at about 58 minutes into that call, did he attempt to call back in call number 546 at 7:38 in the morning?
I gotta catch up with you here. So that call was the call on November 8th.
Correct. So we were talking about call 547. That's the one that was just
Right.
introduced.
Okay, so at 6:38, that call was made.
So 546 did,
Yes,
and that would be on July 8th.
November 8th.
I'm sorry, November 8th, 2023 at 7:38 in the morning.
Yes,
And did that call connect?
does not appear.
Call number 545, November 8th, 23 at 7:40 in the morning. That call connect.
Does not appear to.
And these are call number 546, 545, 544. Those are from Charlie to his mother.
Correct.
Call number 543, November 8th, 2023 at 7:44 in the morning. Did that call connect?
I'm just going to forward through this.
3 is, it's
Hey, what's up?
7:44, 7:45. Neither one of those connected.
Okay, so 544, 543, those did not connect.
They did not.
And those were from Charlie to his mother.
Yes.
And then call number 542 at 7:52 in the morning.
Did not connect.
Call number 541 at 7:54 in the morning.
Did not connect.
Now I want to take a step back. Correct.
That is... yes, that's what it appears to be.
And you've been on your cell phone when the call drops, correct?
Yes.
Now, there could be a number of reasons for that, right?
Yes.
It could be because of tower issues. Could be because of battery issues.
It could be numerous issues, yes.
Or it could be that the person on the other end just hangs up.
Could be.
Those are termination.
The Dolce Vita enhancement.
For one,
Well, I guess like if you're in the courtroom, you could probably hear this clearly or more clear than us. It's just because we're like picking up the speaker audio instead of having a direct feed from the machine that's playing this
end of it at least.
or the computer that's playing it.
And when that happens to you, does the call continue or just stop?
A little too technical for me, to be honest.
Well, you've been on the phone, realize that somebody's not there, you look at your phone, it says call failed,
Yes.
okay? Or there's just nothing on your screen.
Usually when the call fails, you get a beep beep and it's done.
But that's if it fails on your end, correct?
Yes.
So you've been on the phone, on your cell phone, talking with somebody. You didn't realize that they got disconnected. You're still talking, right?
Yes.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Calls 561, 560, 559, 558, 557, as well as calls 546, 545, 544, 543, 542, and 541. Those don't connect with recording.
It is, yes.
When a call is made from Leon County Jail to a person receiving that call,
Okay, now we have the state.
both parties are alerted that that call is being recorded before that the person receiving the call can accept the call and talk to the inmate. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes, you're being told, hey, this call is being recorded, literally. And I think sometimes even repeats itself throughout the call.
And it also lets the receiver of that call know that they need to hang up in order to not be recorded, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Are there hundreds of calls between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson while Charlie Adelson was in custody at Leon County Jail?
I would say there's thousands.
I know that you haven't heard all of the thousands, but in most of the calls that you've heard, besides the two we've heard today, does Donna Adelson properly hang up the phone at the end of the call?
Yes, the ones that.
Someone out there, some poor intern, some, maybe like new legal assistant or something like that, had to listen to those thousands of calls just in case, because you never know what's going to pop up. It might be useful for trial or sentencing.
Ended properly, yes.
Okay. And the defense showed you while Donna Adelson was still on the line on her and Charlie's previous call, on these over the line calls, that there appear to be several attempts by Charlie Adelson to try to call her back.
Correct.
If her phone is still on the previous call and she's not looking at her phone, could it be that she doesn't see that the Leon County Jail is attempting to call her back, but she doesn't see her call waiting if she's not looking at her phone?
That's a possibility.
And in one of the recordings the defense plays, she says she seems to be not sure that they are recording her. She says, they're not recording my phone. If they are, and then it was cut off.
No, there's more to that conversation.
Okay.
We didn't hear.
In that part that we heard, does she seem to be unsure whether her phone can be recorded or not? When she says they're not recording on my phone, if they are.
Yeah, I'm not following the question here.
Okay.
I would object to calls for speculation.
I'll allow Ms. Dugan to clarify her question before objection or answer is given.
Let me just ask then, the portion that you were played by defense counsel, in that portion, did Donna Adelson say, they're not recording my phone if they are?
Yes.
On the open line call, that the first one that the defense moved in, that where Donna Adelson talks about fleeing to a non-extraditable country and other information in this case from November 7th, if Donna Adelson had properly hung up, would the recording have stopped?
Yes.
And we would not be able to then hear the conversation that occurred in her home?
No.
Did law enforcement, or did law enforcement do anything to keep her from hanging up?
No.
And when I say law enforcement, I mean the state.
No.
Have you ever had a call with a friend where all of a sudden you can't hear the person and they no longer are able to hear you?
Yes.
And the call has still been pending there on your phone. It wasn't call failed.
Yes.
Taxi, Charlie doesn't seem like the type of person to me to have like real, genuine friends. I'm not surprised if his mom was like kind of his best friend. Honestly.
Would you then need to hang up the phone to ensure that the person on the other end wasn't just hearing your conversations as you went about your day?
Yes.
Thank you.
Before we move into redirect, Mr. Zellman, I do have a question. I'll allow both parties to follow up. Investigator Newland, based on the records that you have in front of you, are there any instances or do you have any knowledge of there being disconnected calls prior to November 7th of 2023?
Not at this moment. I would have to go back and look.
Both parties may follow up as the court's question if you desire to do so.
No follow-up.
Briefly. And so, as you sit here today, you're not aware of any other similar situations happening in the thousands of calls?
Not in the ones that I've listened to, no.
But you could pull a report that may or may not show calls consistent with what we've presented here this morning.
Yes, I can go pull a report, yes.
And if that's what the court is asking, you could do that.
I can.
Okay. Now, when an individual such as Charlie, an inmate, makes that call, makes a call, he's using his PIN as we established earlier, correct?
Yes, he's using his PIN when he makes a call, yes.
Now I'm going to show you, are you familiar with the Next Gen Secure Communications Platform?
Yeah. Isn't this a law professor versus like the dentist family murder case? Who is this guy? So the dentist's mother is now going to be on trial. It's a whole family affair, okay? A whole family affair. We'll see if Wendy is next. That's a lot of people are thinking maybe Wendy's next, or maybe they'll never get Wendy.
Next Gen Secure. I
So
guess
when-
not.
When you download the calls and it goes into a folder on a drive or your computer, you have to click on the Show CD
Hey, Board TV, thank you so much for the I was gonna say 2 months, but tier 2, 80 bucks. Thank you. How are you? Thank you so much for the support.
icon, and that pulls up a web browser, correct?
So you're talking about when I extract a
Yes.
set of calls, it gives us an email, it gives us a download, and the download has 3 or 4 folders in it.
Yes.
And those folders contain all kinds of stuff, so yes.
Mayor, may I approach?
You may.
This is not marked. You familiar with that?
I've actually never looked at this.
Now, earlier we talked about call numbers 547, 546, 544, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to show you call number 562 on this document.
That's one we listened to. We could barely hear anything. But I think the point that the defense attorney was trying to make that was that, oh, there has been calls before where they would just like drop out of nowhere and then the person didn't realize and was still talking into it.
Take a look at defense 1. Is the information consistent with what is on defense 1?
This one indicates call part. So there's a little bit more details in here.
So
And
when
it's-
call number 561, 560, 559, did that indicate account in use?
It does.
Now, during the portion of Defense Exhibit 2 that we listened to, prior to Mrs. Adelson realizing that Charlie is no longer on the call, is there any discussion about the phrase non-extraditable country?
In the 11-7 or the 11-8 call?
11-7.
Oh, I'd have to go back and listen to it again. I know it was talking about getting out of the country and stuff like that, but I'd have to go listen to it again.
Really? That's what they were talking about? I couldn't hear shit. I was like, I don't know. I hear something about boxes, something about a judge.
At any point in any of those calls, and this is probably more relevant for the bond, does Mrs. Adelson indicate she's not returning? Does she say she's not coming back?
No, but the 11-8 call, she did say that she's going to have to tell Wendy we are leaving the country. There was no indication of coming back from that.
Oh, gosh. The defense is trying to say that, like, oh, well, Donna talked about going to a non-extradition country, but that doesn't mean she wasn't going to come back. She just wanted to know which country had non-extradition with the U.S., and she just wanted to go there. But she had plans of coming back. Oh, gosh.
Just a moment. Nothing further, Your Honor?
You may step down.
Non-extradition,
To accommodate
research
Mr.
purposes.
Toomey, we will take the one witness as
Sorry, before the judge interrupted me. I'm just kidding. I was saying non-extradition country. You know, she was just trying to go there for research purposes.
to the Arthur aspect of this at this point.
Hello?
Mike Hayden.
Would invoke the rule for any witnesses that are here for the bond hearing.
That's fine. Please step outside and do not discuss your testimony with any other party. If you are here for...
Right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly, Mr. Hayden. You may examine Ms. Dugan when you're ready.
Okay, being examined by the state.
State your name and spell it for the record.
Yes, Mike Hayden, M-I-K-E-H-A-Y-D-E-N.
And where do you work?
I work for Yes Care at the Leon County Detention Facility.
Can you say that one more time?
Oh, at the Leon County Detention Facility.
Okay, and what do you do there?
I'm the Health Service Administrator
How long have you been health service administrator there?
since January of '24.
Can you tell me a little bit about your education, your training, and experience for your position?
So I'm
Okay, so I think now what we're getting to is Donna's complaints of the jailhouse conditions. So medical issues, lack of privacy for attorney-client privilege. Did I say lack of medical care? What was the first one that I said again? Your medical issues, right? Yeah. Issues with other inmates at the detention facility, abuse.
a registered nurse. Corrections. I've had 5 years of experience in healthcare administration, so starting progressively from director of nursing up to health administrator. I'm currently a travel health service administrator for the company.
Okay. What type of medical treatment can be provided at Leon County Jail?
So we are basic life-saving, so we are limited to advanced life-saving, but anywhere from wound care, chronic care medications to emergency management.
Are there
What is all that noise in the background? Is someone dialing in and then it's like some weird reception issues, like interference or something like that? I don't know. It just sounds crazy back there.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
I apologize.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to mute you from now if you need to get involved in some way or make an objection
Yeah, someone's like dialing in and they need to mute their fucking microphones.
of some sort. At that point, you may unmute.
serious medical conditions
Jesus,
in
what a
Leon County Jail
noob.
or who happen in Leon County Jail, even as serious as cancer? Okay, and the medical staff, does Leon County Jail have their own site?
So we have dental assistants, we have dentists, LPNs, CNAs, RNs, we have mental health professionals, psychiatrists, there's also a nurse practitioner and a doctor, medical doctor.
Is there a nurse on site 24/7?
Yes.
The doctor and the ARNP, those would be the folks that can prescribe medications or refer a person to a specialist. What are their hours there?
So they're Monday through Friday.
Okay, like a normal business hour,
Normal
8 to
business
5.
hours.
Are they on call though, other than those hours?
Yes.
Okay. What about an inmate's having a medical emergency? They're unconscious, heart attack, stroke, uncontrolled bleeding. What happens then?
So we refer to the outside emergency room. So we're basic life saving. So CPR, we can do CPR and things like that until EMS can arrive and take to stabilize.
Okay, but anyone can say this person needs to go to the hospital,
Yes.
not even if a doctor isn't there on site?
Correct.
Okay. Do inmates have like a call button in their room where they can alert COs if they are having a medical emergency?
In some of the cells in the medical unit, yes, they do.
What about non-emergency requests? How does an inmate make a request for a non-emergency treatment?
So they have paper forms, and it's healthcare request forms, and they fill those out and they hand them to the nurse during their pass.
And the nurses are then the people who review those?
Yes.
If the nurse decides that an inmate needs to see the ARNP or a doctor, will they facilitate that?
Yes.
If the nurse decides the inmate needs to see a doctor, are the inmates then able to see the doctor usually within a day or two?
Yes.
Okay. Even if it's on a Saturday, they might wait to see the doctor on Monday unless it's an emergency?
Correct.
Okay. I guess that's obviously depending on the nature of the request. Okay. In your experience, is that turnaround as far as I have this issue and I'd like to see a doctor, is that typically faster than people out of custody are able to get an appointment with their doctor?
Yes.
Does Leon County Jail provide treatment for elective procedures or things that an inmate would like to have treatment for?
So what we do is wall, and that will be it's a system of showing medical necessity. So if there's a request, if the
So I guess like for Donna Adelson, maybe elective, would that be considered the physical therapy, the ENT flushing out her delicate little tiny ear canals, and what else did she had? Oh, she had like back and like leg issues. But I think that would have been addressed by physical therapy.
patient requests anything, you will see the provider, they'll assess the need, and they push it up to our utilization management team. If there is a need, then they will facilitate.
So a medical necessity?
Yes.
Okay. If Donna Adelson was seen by medical staff or is seen by medical staff for a medical necessity that they can treat, will they treat it?
Absolutely.
If it's not something that the medical staff at Leon County Jail can treat, will they get her care from a specialist for that necessity or take her to the hospital for that necessity?
Yes.
Have the medical staff evaluated her ailments listed in her motion to determine whether those are necessities or not?
Yes.
And have you had an opportunity to review her medical records before court today?
I have.
Has medical staff observed and through any of her appointments any hearing loss that was noted in the medical records?
Nothing noted in the medical records, no.
Have they noted any sort of medical necessity when it comes to having her needing to see a specialist for ear wax removal several times a year?
No.
If for some reason that was deemed a necessity in the future, would they facilitate that?
Absolutely.
But at this point, they've said they don't notice any hearing loss.
Correct.
Was
Oh, so it's a medical necessity if you have hearing loss. Okay. Because I don't know, what did Donna say again? She said that like she had to get her ears flushed out by like an ENT specialist every 3 to 4 months, I think she said. But what was the point of that? Is it just because just like a cleanliness thing? No, it just says that she just gets her ears cleaned every 3 to 4 months. I don't think it says anything about like if she doesn't get her ears cleaned, then she has like, I don't know, maybe her ear starts hurting or she can't hear. I think she just wants her ears cleaned.
after Donna Adelson complained of shortness of breath, was a chest x-ray done?
Yes.
And did it show that her lungs were clear, so to speak, nothing abnormal?
Yes, it did.
A negative x-ray. Was she given like an inhaler treatment of albuterol, though, because of her complaints of shortness of breath?
Yes. So she's had available. They had ordered albuterol treatment since 2023, but recently she reported that she has kind of an exacerbation or worsening of that. So the provider, when she listened to the lungs and none were cleared, she did order a scheduled breathing treatment for a few days. I think it was 5 days total.
Okay. The breathing treatment being the albuterol medication
Yes, to
that you
help
inhale?
open.
Okay. But they did do a chest x-ray to see if maybe something more was at play here, and nothing was there?
Clear. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Donna Adelson complained of pain in her left shoulder arm area. Was an x-ray done of that area as well to see whether there was any fractures, dislocations, something that she needed further treatment for?
Yes.
And was there any fracture or dislocation seen on the x-ray? Is that a no?
No.
Did medical staff give her some range of motion exercises she could do to possibly help with her pain in her shoulder?
Based on notes, I think the limited range of motion was the provider's assessment of it, so there was noted that she had limited range of motion, and that's what indicated the need for the x-ray, just to see where we were at.
Okay. So they did notice the limited range of motion. They did the x-ray, and the x-ray was negative?
Yes.
Okay. And did Donna Adelson report mild pain to the provider on February 3rd, 2025, regarding her left upper extremity with a limited range of motion?
Yes.
If either of these x-rays, be it the left upper extremity or the chest, showed need for further treatment, that showed that she does have this necessity that needs to be addressed, would the jail have gotten the treatment that she needed?
Yes.
Let me ask you a couple of other things. Throughout,
Really? You would get cysts in your ears? How? Unless she has like a crazy overproduction of wax, she would be fine.
her medical records.
No, I haven't gotten my ears cleaned professionally before, but I've seen those videos where they go to like the Chinese places and then they like put the needles next to you. I'm like, oh my God, what are you gonna do with those needles? But they're not like stabbing your ears or anything like that. But yeah, like, oh, it looks so scary.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point.
What is the basis?
The basis of the objection is we were provided late last week, with a stack of medical records that are from the jail facility regarding Mrs. Adelson.
So this is Donna Adelson's new attorney.
We inquired as to what the lawful process was used in order to obtain those medical records, and we never got a response from the state. And before this hearing started this morning, I asked if they were going to introduce the medical records, and they're not. But it's clear that they've had discussions with this witness about Mrs. Adelson's medical records. They did not give notice of issuance of a subpoena so that we could object. We're not aware of any search warrant that's been given. Our client certainly didn't sign a waiver anyway, so it appears that they have unlawfully obtained the medical records of our client, and this witness's testimony should be stricken from the record and no further testimony allowed.
Dugan, response?
I was not aware that they did not get a response from Mr. Newland about how these were obtained. I can ask Mr. Newland what exactly his subpoena issuance entailed to get the records. I reviewed them this week since I was in trial last week, and the witness has obviously reviewed them because he's a medical administrator and would have access to them regardless. I am not moving them into evidence because I know if they're moved into evidence, then they're obviously going to be all over medical records into evidence. I just plan to ask the witnesses about them as far as the certain things that are relevant to the motion.
So we do not have to prolong this. Mr. Hayden, if you could step down for a moment to determine how the records were obtained. As part of the motion for setting bond does go to the sufficiency of medical care. In that way, if Mr. Hayden has knowledge of the care that has been given and what has taken place concerning your client, he is permitted to testify to that. As to any other records, if there's a lawful objection that you wish to make, that will be addressed. Please bring in Mr.
Thank you. Could I have a couple of questions I could ask Mr. Hayden while he's on his way down that don't pertain to the medical records?
That's fine.
Okay.
Please take the stand again, Mr. Hayden.
All right, Mr. Hayden, come on back.
Time crunch with the witness on Zoom.
Oh, we have a Zoom witness today? I hope not.
Does the medical staff
Hi,
at
AJ.
the Young County Jail practice
Hey, AJ, how's it going today? Everything is drama with Donna.
evidence-based medicine?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So for medicine, evidence-based is all the peer review, so past studies. It's what every medical professional should be using in the community. It's just based on prior trial and error resources, studies, research.
Do they, does that mean that the doctors not only aren't just listening to what the inmate is telling them is wrong, but they're also looking at ordering tests, looking at x-rays, observing the patient to see if they also have any other evidence besides what the inmate is saying is wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Why might that be important to do at a jail?
Well, the majority of our patients lack the knowledge or education about their personal health. Many of them have never been diagnosed with things, especially mental health disorders. We found people have cancer and never realized it. So it's important that the providers use the community standards and evidence-based to make sure we're providing the appropriate care.
Do inmates at the jail, could inmates at the jail also have a secondary reason or gain as to saying that they have some sort of medical issue that they may not really have?
Absolutely.
Is that as far as being able to get out of custody, being able to go stay in a hospital or a treatment center as opposed to being in custody at a jail?
Or attempt escape, yes.
Okay. And so is that an important reason why the jail staff turns to x-rays, their physical observations through their evaluation of the patient, or any other evidence that they can point to see that there is some medical treatment or medical necessity there?
Yes, I can't speak for the jail staff, but as far as the healthcare staff, we use evidence-based to ensure that we're providing adequate care.
Okay. And does the jail prescribe narcotic pain medication?
No.
Okay. So the pain medication that Donna Adelson and other inmates receive for pain is over-the-counter type medication?
Correct.
Does the jail not prescribe narcotic pain medication?
So that is something that usually most jails and facilities don't because it's a currency, it's highly abused, and it can cause safety issues within the facility.
So someone could say they need it and they don't really need it to support some type of addiction to it.
Correct.
Or even if they do really need it, it could cause other inmates, they could cause them to be a target by other
Yes.
inmates. I think that's all I have.
Are you planning to go any further examination on the line that you were inquiring of before, Ms. Dugan?
No, sir.
Step down, Mr. Hayden. Oh, I'm sorry, before you do, please, cross-examination by the defense.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
To coming here today, did you have an opportunity to discuss the medical condition of Mrs. Adelson with anyone at the state?
Outside, right here.
Okay, and who did you speak with here?
You can
Female
say it.
prosecutor was just
prosecutor,
questioning you? Okay, and the medical records that were provided to the state attorney's office, did you
Is this her defense attorney?
review all of those?
I did.
You did. When did you review those?
Over the course of, just knowing she's a patient of ours.
Okay. You testified, I want to make sure I understand correctly, Mrs., the prosecutor just asked you about the button being in some units where if there was a medical emergency, the inmates could alert the staff that they were having a medical emergency. Did I understand your answer to be that those are in some of the cells in the medical unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Not in the other units?
Correct.
Okay. And you indicated that the way that an inmate is supposed to request medical care is there's a form that they're supposed to complete, correct?
For non-emergent healthcare.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah, there's one injury that Donna got. It's the one where she got cut in the washroom or the washing machine or something like that. Apparently she got cut and she was asking for a Band-Aid, but she had to fill out a form and she wasn't given a Band-Aid until like the next day or something. Yeah, there was a nurse there, showed up. Oh, but the nurse didn't have a Band-Aid. The nurse told her to wrap it in toilet paper just to stop a bleeding and then to fill out a form to request a Band-Aid and then turn into the night nurse. And apparently she wasn't able to get a Band-Aid until the next day, I think. Yeah, it was like the next day. And then 2 days later, or the day after, they cleaned out her wound and gave her a tetanus shot.
do you know how within the staff at the jail those are given to the inmates?
Yes, they're provided by custody staff, and the nurses also carry them.
Okay. Are you aware from the records that you reviewed that Mrs. Adelson actually requested most recently on February the 1st when she was cut on the metal of a washing machine in the unit that she actually requested the nurse who was present inside the pod in the annex where she was, she requested a form so she could make a request for a Band-Aid and they said they didn't have any? Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that, but I do see that she placed a sick call request and she was seen.
Ms. Fulford, before you continue, I believe you just objected to the state in any way referencing the records that you appear to be cross-examining on now.
I thought you were asking me to do my cross, Judge.
I am asking you to do your cross. However, if you are going to examine the witness concerning the records you're objecting to the state using, the state, that will be available to the state, all
Well,
topics that are raised.
Then I don't want to cross until we find out how they got the records because my cross is all about that.
Please bring in Investigator Newland. Mr. Hayden, you may step down. Not yet. Please step down for now.
Sorry, sir. You can't go home for the day. You gotta stick around. The judge is like, wait a second. You just objected to the state asking about medical records because you don't have them yet, but now you're doing a cross-examination on the medical records. All right, so we have this detective,
Investigator, you remain under oath.
Detective Nolan.
Ms. Dugan, you may inquire as to how the records of the defendant were obtained as to your medical records.
How were the medical records of the defendant obtained?
By subpoena.
Let me go to the microphone. Who did you subpoena?
Yes Care.
Is that the,
I mean, that's how the defense characterized it, Taxi. I have a hard time believing, too, that if you wanted a Band-Aid, you had to wait and fill out a form, unless the form is for tracking purposes, because who knows if Band-Aids can be used as contraband. I don't fucking know. But it seems like she asked for a Band-Aid, and they just didn't have a Band-Aid on them. And it's possible that the nurse told her to fill out a sick form. That way she can address the wound that she had as well. Like, let's clean it out, let's give it a tetanus shot, and then address it and all that stuff. So I don't know if it's protocol to fill in a form just to get a Band-Aid, or that was just part of her trying to get help and then, do the cleaning and the shot.
a company who maintains the medical records for the jail?
I believe it's the medical oversight for the Leon County Detention Facility.
And what, do you remember the day that occurred?
So there's been twice that this occurred. We had a hearing previously, several months back, a while
Hey, Mitch. Hi, from Canada. Oh, hello. I'm with my hockey team. We all say hi. Hello. What's up going on? How are you doing today?
ago. After transport where we had to subpoena the records, and yes, I brought those with them then. And then last week, I got asked to draft another subpoena for records for this hearing, and that was the extent.
Was that by Ms. Kappelman or Mr.
Yes.
Toomey?
My understanding is Mr. Toomey advised Ms. Kappelman to have a subpoena drafted.
Okay, so she's asking him questions, and he says, I need a subpoena, and so then you did the subpoena?
Correct.
Okay, and then was the subpoena sent to Mr. Toomey? To Yes Care?
To Yes Care, yeah, which he's the representative.
Wait, Michelle Trachtenberg died? Hold on. Who was that again? She died? What happened? Wait, sorry. iPad news. What? Yeah, she was in Gossip Girl. Oh, yeah, she was in Gossip Girl. Yeah, she's like in a lot of things. Harriet the Spy. What happened to her? Jesus, she's only 39 years old. She was found dead in her apartment. Oh, she underwent a liver transplant, was experiencing complications. Believed to have died of natural causes, no foul play. They'll do an autopsy. Oh my God, that's so sad. I didn't know she had a liver transplant. Didn't Selena Gomez have a liver transplant? Oh, wait, it was Selena Gomez, right? There was like a whole drama with Selena Gomez and like the bestie. And then people were accusing Selena Gomez of not treating the friend very well afterwards. Oh my God, that's so sad. Oh, did it say oh, Selena Gomez was kidney. Okay. Oh, so sad.
How long did it take to get the records back after the subpoena was sent?
I honestly don't know if we have them back. I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
Okay. Any other information you can give us about the subpoena process?
That's it.
Okay. Do you know if we did receive a copy of the records, would they have been sent to by Ms. Kappelman's assistant?
That's standard. Once we receive it, we'll put it in discovery and provide it, yeah.
Okay. Did you have any conversations in the last week or two with the defense about the subpoena process?
No.
Okay. Anything else from the court?
I have no other questions concerning this. If the defense have any questions as to the subpoena?
Yes, but I have just a moment, Judge.
They need to mute that mic because I feel like if I listen really intently and carefully, I could probably hear what he's saying. Your college football team had to go on trial for hazing a
Prior
rookie?
to obtaining the subpoena, did you give any notice to defense attorneys on behalf of Ms. Adelson that you were going to seek her medical records?
No.
Were you instructed to do that by anyone in the state attorney's office?
No.
Is this just typically the practice that you use, obtaining medical records without giving notice to the defense?
No, my understanding was Mr. Toomey said, please provide me a subpoena and I will bring the records with me to the hearing. That's the extent of what I understood to occur.
I don't have anything further this way.
Stephen, do you have any other examination as to the subpoena or the obtaining of records?
No, sir.
You may step down, investigator. Mr. Hayden, if you can take the witness stand once again.
Okay, he's back. I guess we got the medical records. Sorry, guys. We're just going back and forth here. Back and forth. Hi, Wayne. How are you doing today? How's it going? Hello, hello.
Concerning the examination of Mr. Hayden, I will rule the following. Any knowledge that he has based on his independent review of the records as a member of the jail staff providing medical care to the inmates, if he has knowledge of the defendant's records, he certainly may testify on that basis. If the defense is continuing to object to any use of the records by the state today, that will be handled as a separate matter. However, as well, if there is going to be cross-examination as to the specifically objected to records, that is going to open the door on any redirect topics raised. You may continue your cross-examination at this point.
Thank you, Judge. You indicated in your testimony that at the jail, the health care that's provided would be for basic life-saving techniques. Is that it?
As far as emergency, yes, ma'am.
Just for emergencies?
Emergencies, yes.
Okay.
We don't have advanced life-saving medications. They have to be sent to the emergency room.
Okay, and you also indicated in your testimony that the medical care provider, the doctor, I guess, who it is, who may be treating an inmate who's requested medical care, makes their decision based on evidence. Is that right?
Evidence-based practice.
Okay, and your evidence-based practice, your testimony could be what they observed with the particular inmate and other evidence as well. Is that right?
So evidence-based practices, we use a standard, like community, the same level of care that you would get in the community is what we provide.
I'm sorry?
use community-based practice, so the evidence is based on evidence-based practice.
And the evidence that you would have is whatever the inmate is providing to you, correct?
Well, so basically what it is if someone has heart failure, there's a system that we use to make sure that that patient is being cared for appropriately based on the indications, what the illness does to the body, things like that. So it's a standard way of practicing medicine.
And based on that practice, then, the standard way of practicing medicine, if someone tells you they're experiencing shortness of breath, you said an x-ray was done because she made that complaint, correct?
She was assessed, and then the provider also added the x-ray to that, yes.
Okay, and that's something that should be done as part of a normal, right? If someone says, I've got shortness of breath, you should get them for an x-ray. That's part of what should take place,
Yes,
correct? Okay.
What's
Part
his
of
name again?
the medical care that's provided by your company, Leon County Detention Facility, do you all do steroid injections in the spine?
No, that would be something that would be sent out for a consult to a specialist.
And do you do that without court order?
To provide care?
Yes,
Yes, we can provide care without a court order.
you do. That's the policy at the Leon County Detention Facility, that if a specialist is required, you will send the inmate out without a required court order if it's a non-emergency
We
situation.
send people out for non-emergency consults
Okay, great.
almost daily. Yes,
Great.
ma'am.
And as far as the hearing issue goes, you said that the decision about not doing the
Steroid injection to the spine. Oh, is that for like I think like the leg pain that she gets?
procedure within her ear, that's because you all don't provide it?
Currently, we just got this request in. This is something that is new to us. We never had any history or any records of that. When she made the issue, when she put the request in, she was assessed by the provider, and the provider saw nothing on her assessment. Not to say that if there is an actual need, we can accommodate that. We can coordinate her care.
So that was a recent request as far as you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything further.
Radiographic examination.
Recent as in the request as to the ears occurred in February
Correct.
of 2025?
So reason is, based on her medical history that she reported at the time she was looked at.
Okay. And the doctor did not notice any hearing loss at that time? Or didn't
Based
note
on
any
the-
hearing loss?
Right, based on the report, on her assessment.
Okay. And every time the doctors have reported that her respiratory system appeared clear, she appeared to have no issue receiving air,
Correct.
and her oxygen levels, her pulse oxygen levels were always around about 98. Is that normal to be like between 96 and 100?
So in normal ranges.
Okay. For the cut that she received on Saturday, February 1st, she did receive.
So I'm going back a little bit.
The doctors have reported that her respiratory system appeared clear. She appeared to have no issue receiving air,
Correct.
and her oxygen levels, her pulse oxygen levels were always around about 98. Is that normal to be like between 96 and 100?
So in normal ranges.
Okay. For the cut that she received on Saturday, February 1st, she ended up receiving Neosporin and a Band-Aid for her cut.
Yes, and then they followed up, I believe it was a week after, about 7 days after the initial assessment, the skin protocol was initiated, and they found that there was no signs and symptoms of infection, and at that time she was educated to report any signs or any worsening of the condition.
And she did receive a tetanus shot?
Yes.
Just in case. That's all.
You may step down, Mr. Traden.
Oh, reminds me of that story of my childhood friend. Jesus, stepped on a fucking rusty nail. Ah! Ah! They stepped on like a rusty nail. You guys ever watch that movie with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski where you have to be really quiet, otherwise the monster gets you? Fuck, what's the movie called again? I don't know what it's called, but there's that one scene. Emily Blunt's like really pregnant. There's like a monster looming by. And then she's going like up and down the stairs, up and down stairs. But like when you're zooming in on one of the staircase, there's like a rusty needle just like pointing upwards. And then you just have so much anxiety because you know she's going to fucking step in it soon. Oh, gosh. Oh, A Quiet Place. Yes. But yeah, my friend stepped on a rusty nail and like, oh, geez. Every time I hear tetanus shot, I always think about that scene, man. I always think about that scene. Just like stepping out. Ugh.
Let's resume with the suppression aspect of this at this time.
Excuse me, who's on that Zoom call right there? Can you chill out, please? You're killing us here.
Excuse me, have a good day. Thank you. Let's resume with the suppression portion at this time. Does the defense have any other witnesses or evidence it wishes to present as it relates to the burden in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense will call Donna Adelson.
Oh, how old is your daughter? Your daughter handles an occasional cut way more maturely than Donna. All right, so Donna Adelson's going to testify on the stand, and she'll talk about the jail conditions.
Please come up to the witness stand, Ms. Adelson. Witness stand.
Please raise your right hand as best as you can. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Yes. You may take the seat. Please speak loudly and clearly. You may examine Mr. Zellman when you're ready.
No. Oh, gosh. Went through the shoes and the foot. Oh, God. Eee. Oh, she's 3? Oh, she's 12 now. All right, Donna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record and make sure you speak into the microphone?
Yes, Donna Adelson.
Now, I want to direct your attention, we heard the call earlier. The call on November 7th of 2023 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and for the record, that was call number 561. Do you remember where you were?
Yes, I was in my apartment in my living room.
Do you remember who was present when you got the call?
Yes, my husband, Harvey, and friends of mine, my attorney.
Name the friends, Donna. Name the friends. Who are these people that are helping you possibly get out of the country? I think they are listed in the court doc.
Susan Brotman and her husband, Richard Chagrin.
You said your attorney. What kind of law does Ms. Brotman practice? Or did she?
She does estate planning.
Was Ms. Brotman present at your apartment for the purposes of providing you with legal counsel?
Yes, she was.
And do you remember receiving the call from Charlie?
Yes, of course.
And where was Charlie at the time?
So he was in a room by himself. It was after the conviction.
Was he in the jail?
He was in jail.
Okay. What did you do when you saw that Charlie was calling?
Answered the phone.
And you heard the recording that we played earlier?
Your 68, your shoulder sometimes feels weak, and then the movement is limited. Stretching fixes that. Yeah, I do a lot of stretches too. For me, it's like if I stop stretching, my muscles just go back to getting so tight. I don't know. So I have to keep stretching as well. Give up the tears.
Earlier?
Yes.
And you agreed for your call with your son to be recorded, correct?
Yes.
As the call was happening, do you know at what point Charlie was no longer on the call?
No, only when because I was talking, and then all of a sudden I asked him something, and I said, "Charlie, do you hear me, Charlie?" And I said it a few times, and he didn't respond anymore, and I knew the call was over.
Now, in the course, during the time that your son was incarcerated in Leon County Jail, did that happen more than, was that a frequent occurrence?
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately.
Okay. And would there be times when you didn't realize at first that he was no longer on the call?
Yes.
Where in your apartment were you when this happened?
So I was in my living room.
And you heard your voice on that first call number 562, when you repeated, "Charlie, Charlie, are you there?"
Right.
Did you believe the call had ended?
Yes.
And in times prior to this, what would happen after that? What would you do when that would happen?
If he didn't respond anymore, that was it. The call was over.
And what would you do with your phone?
I'd hang up.
Now, same thing with the call on November 8th of 2023, the one at 6:30 in the morning. Do you know at what point your son was no longer on the phone?
I don't. I don't remember though.
In either one of those situations, or in both of those situations, did you believe the call was over?
Yeah, the call was over. He was gone.
And you went about your business?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the November 7th, 2023 phone call when your attorney, her husband, and your husband were present at your apartment, Did you agree for your attorney-client conversation to be recorded?
No,
Did you agree for your conversation with your husband to be recorded?
no, of course not.
Now, the following day, did you agree for your subsequent conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No,
Hello, defense attorney? Are we not prepared or something? What's going on here? Hurry it up.
Now, you heard the recording. To consent to this call, press 1. Or recording of this call, press 1. Correct?
correct.
And you hung up the phone after those calls were over.
Thought I did.
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay, defense attorneys.
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Sarah Dugan? All right.
So there in the room with you during this call was, you said your, one of your attorneys, Susan Brotman, your husband, and then also Susan Brotman's husband.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he was not your attorney?
He was not.
Your attorney?
No, he's not an attorney.
Okay. You were informed at the beginning of that call, this is the one on November 7th that recorded you while they were all in the room. You were informed that you were being recorded if you accepted that call?
Yes.
Okay. And that if you do not want to be on that recorded call, that you needed to hang up the call. Is that right?
Oh, that phrasing. If you do not want to be on this recorder call, you hang up. You didn't hang up, Donna. You thought you did, but you didn't hang up.
You're saying, does the recording say,
Right. If you do not want to accept that recorded call, you should hang up.
if you do not, yeah, no, I accepted the recorded call.
Okay.
Oh, she's smart. Oh, she's so smart. Dude, she's so smart. She knew exactly where my mind and her mind went to the same place, okay? Oh, Jesus. She's like, oh, if you wanted to discontinue the recorded call, you hang up? Yes, I did accept the call by answering the call. Yes,
And you typically do hang up your calls, you said, after
I mean, I think I
your
did,
calls
yeah.
with Charlie Adelson when he was in custody. All right, but this particular call that day, evidently, you did not properly hang up, right?
Evidently.
Okay. And have you ever forgotten to press the button on a call before?
I mean, it may have happened. I don't know.
Sure. Has your phone pocket dialed people
I don't know.
before?
Has it what?
Pocket dialed people before? I mean, when you've been out of custody.
Pocket dialed?
Right.
I don't know what you mean.
Like if your phone is in your pocket or in your purse and it accidentally calls someone you didn't mean it to?
I mean, it could have happened, sure.
Okay. And you also could have not pressed the button on your cell phone to end a call before, right?
That's possible.
Okay. It's not quite as...
Listen. I don't want to ever hear the word butt dial anymore. Because when I think of butt dial, my head goes to the Alberts, what they were doing when the butt dials were happening. And my mind goes to the Karen Reed shit, okay? And all the crazy butt dials that were happening. And then maybe the sex butt dials. Sweaty booty butt dials.
big of a deal as it used to be when you would actually have to hang up the phone.
Right.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Briefly, Your Honor. The consent that you gave for the call to be recorded, when did that end?
It ended when Charlie hung up, or when whatever stopped the call. I mean, I don't know how it stopped, but it
When you hang up. Yeah, when you hang up.
stopped. When the call was over with Charlie, it was over.
Okay. Nothing further.
You may step down.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. I think she knew that not Kappelman. She knew that Sarah Dugan was trying to catch her on the so like, you know, the call says if you want to hang up, then that's how you get out of the recorder call, right? She didn't want to answer that. Just like, oh gosh, she's gonna be like this in trial. She's gonna be evasive, and she's gonna try to think like a step or two ahead of the person asking the questions. Man. All right, now I know what to expect for trial. It's going to be a very spicy one. I think they bring her up on the stand again, though.
In order to exclude what are complained of wiretapped interceptions, the movement has a need to show there was a subjective expectation of privacy in their statements, and the expectation is one that society would accept as reasonable. As to the subjective expectation showing the defendant has met that burden, it now shifts to the state as to whether this is one that is reasonable. Ms. Dugan?
Yes, sir. I have argument.
You may proceed.
May I provide the court with some case law?
You may.
I've got some argument, and then I'll kind of go through each one of these cases. I provided a defense a copy of these earlier this morning. So in defendant's motion, they first argued that this was, a warrantless search. However, the state's argument is that this is not subject to Fourth Amendment, so there's no wrongful state action that caused this defendant to be reported after the inmate was no longer on the call. The only conceivable state action here was the state having this service that allows inmates to make recorded calls. But on those calls, both parties have to consent to be recorded for the call to begin. And if they do not want to be recorded or need to hang up, the state didn't intend to record this defendant's conversation in her home with her husband and friends. And it was the fact that she was recorded was not caused by the state's actions. It was caused by the defendant's actions. The defendant argues that they have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the call, but that would only start once this defendant actually hangs up. Mm-hmm. And the defendant is the one responsible for hanging up, not the state. The defendant was responsible for the interception of the phone call. It was her failure to hang up that caused that rest of that call to be recorded. It was her action and not the state action that made that happen. The state did nothing to keep her from hanging up the phone or prevent her from hanging up the phone.
I wonder if she wanted Daniel Rashbaum to argue this, and Rashbaum was like, no. I don't know. I wonder, because I don't think this was brought up with Rashbaum. Maybe it was. Maybe I didn't see the motions. But this seems like a new motion with the new attorneys.
I think an analogy here would be if someone were to say something incriminating in earshot of a law enforcement officer because they think the law enforcement officer can't hear them. If they can actually hear them, then that's on the speaker because the speaker didn't walk away to talk. That was the speaker's carelessness. The defense also cites Florida Statute 934 and says that the good faith exception doesn't apply because this call was in violation of that statute. But when you look at 934.03, every single subsection of that statute applies to intentional intercepts, not general. I provided several cases to the court. There's nothing directly on point here of this situation having happened just like this in the past, but there are a lot of cases that deal with inadvertent recordings. One of the first cases I gave to you is Baranek. This is a U.S. Court of Appeals case from the Sixth Circuit that held that police interception conversations between the defendants that was overheard when a telephone that was subject to a court-authorized wiretap was inadvertently left off the hook by the defendant. That was authorized under the plain view exception to the warrant requirement. In that case, the state had an actual Title III wire on the defendant's phone. The defendant was on a call and then didn't properly hang up the call. They left the phone off the hook accidentally. And then law enforcement was able to hear the conversation in the room where that phone was located. So when you compare that to our case, there's obviously a much different type of state action in that case with a wire. But regardless, this was a recorded line. It was a legally recorded line where they consented to be recorded. Just like in our case, though, the defendant in that case failed to properly hang up, and that allowed law enforcement to hear the conversation in the room. And that was able to be authorized because of the inadvertent nature of the recording. Another was...
I want to interrupt really quick. You guys heard of the Robert Durst case? Is he like a billionaire or something? So there's this case where, oh gosh, was he in court? Apparently, he went to the bathroom or something, and the mic was still hot, and he basically confessed to the murder, and everyone heard it. Have you guys heard about it? I haven't seen the HBO doc yet, but I heard about it. I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. That's wild. We need more of those.
Was Otero versus State. This is a third DCA case from Florida where a child accidentally activated an answering machine of a home that she was staying.
Was it an interview? Oh, was that what it was? For some reason, I thought he was, okay, for some reason, I thought he had like a lapel mic or something while he was in, for a hearing, and then he went to the bathroom. Oh, it was an interview mic. Oh, gosh. Jesus. Was he talking to himself? Oh, yeah. In the finale of the HBO doc, Durst, the real estate heir, linked to the killings of 2 people close to him and the disappearance of a third, was captured muttering to himself. Why was he talking to himself? What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course. Jesus. Oh, man. On Saturday, the day before the finale aired, he was arrested at a hotel in New Orleans, charged with murder. Jeez. That's crazy. Was that admissible? Wow. Never charged with the 1982 disappearance of his wife, Kathleen. He shot and dismembered a neighbor in Texas. Jesus. He was acquitted after claiming he had fired in self-defense. He had a warrant for... How many people did he kill? He had a warrant from Los Angeles for the 2000 murder of Susan Berman, daughter of Los Angeles mob associate, former spokeswoman for Durst. Crazy. Yeah, so I guess he was just like, yeah, I was just joking. I was just kidding. I didn't mean that. What do you mean? Wow, crazy.
App. And that answering machine recorded the conversation of the mother and the child, unbeknownst to either of them. The third DCA found that admission of that tape into evidence did not violate the statutory exclusionary rule found in 934 because 934 prohibits intentional interception of wire communication. And that taping in that case was accidental, not intentional, just like in our case. There's another case that I provided to the court, Bell versus State. In that case, a girlfriend began to record her conversation with her boyfriend, who was the appellant. And that conversation that she wanted to record was about money, an argument about money between them. The appellant, Bell, then took the phone from her and kept the phone after the argument ended and the girlfriend left the house. The girlfriend's young daughter was still at the house, and after the girlfriend left, the defendant was intoxicated and forgot to turn off the audio recording. There was then a recording. As the recording kept going, it recorded him molesting the girlfriend's young daughter after the girlfriend left the house. The girlfriend then discovered the audio recording next day and handed it over to the police. The defendant was charged with L&L molestation. In that case, the recording of this molestation was obviously inadvertent, and the defendant agreed with that. Only the first conversation about money was what the girlfriend was trying to intend before the phone was taken from her. And that phone was in the appellant's custody and control at the time of this recording of the L&L molestation. The DCA in that case said that the trial court did not err in concluding that Mr. Bell failed to prove that his girlfriend intentionally intercepted the portion of the recording that took place while she was gone. Unless his girlfriend intentionally violated the statute, he was not entitled to the benefit of the statutory exclusionary rule. Because the recording was suspicious, but after she warned him she was going to record him, he took possession of the device that recorded his words and actions. And so the court found that the appellant did not establish that the communications were intercepted under any circumstances justifying an expectation of privacy. I have one more case that concerns the reasonable expectation of privacy. This is the Huff case that I provided to the court, which is a federal case where the plaintiff, a federal civil case, where the plaintiff inadvertently pocket dialed the defendant, which is something that has happened to us all. And the defendant listened to and recorded the conversation she overheard while on the pocket dial call. The plaintiff then brought suit for the defendant intentionally intercepting this private conversation. And in that conversation, the plaintiff was basically...
You guys ever had you guys ever like pocket dialed someone and then you're like caught talking shit about them? Or I forgot who it was. I don't remember who it was. It was like one of my friends. One of my friends accidentally wrote an email complaining about a coworker and then either sent it out to the entire company by accident or maybe hit reply all. Oh, I think they did a reply all type of thing. I don't know. I remember hearing someone did this. I don't know which one of my friends did that though. I don't know. I feel like we've all had that moment where you might have accidentally sent a text message to someone and it wasn't intended for that person. It was intended for someone else. Ooh. That happened to me when I was in my early 20s, I think. Yeah. There was just like one friend that was like getting my fucking nerves. And I was venting it to another friend and then I accidentally sent it to that friend and I was like, ooh, I was caught. Embarrassing. I think the work email one is worse though. Yeah, I think they hit like reply all instead of reply to just like the person that wrote that email, and whoever was CC'd on it probably got it. My coworker sent a message to my boss complaining about the work. LOL, did about the coworker. I know now you can do unsend. If they haven't opened it yet, you have like a grace period where you can unsend the email. Oh man. The toilet thought confessions, dude. I don't know. Do you guys talk out loud? I talk out loud too, but not really. Do I talk out loud? No, actually, I do have a friend that does talk out loud. Like she actually talks out her thoughts. I guess some people are like that. How about the woman on Zoom who recorded herself accidentally taking a shit? What? Nobody. Oh my god, that's horrible. Jesus. Yeah, I always I feel like during those like 2020 pandemic, like the Zoom calls, like, you know, if you forget to mute your microphone, you forget to mute your camera, like, or you got someone like walk around the background maybe and they're naked or something, like, oh boy.
Having a discussion with his wife and with other people as well in the room. The court ruled the plaintiff's statements did not qualify under Title III because he exposed them to the defendant when he pocket dialed her. But the plaintiff's wife's statements did qualify. She can't be held responsible for her husband's pocket dial. But the thing that I think is most important about that case is the court's holding that a person who knowingly operates a device that is capable of inadvertently exposing his conversation to third-party listeners and fails to take simple precautions to prevent such exposure does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy with respect to statements that are exposed to an outsider by the inadvertent operation of that device. So in that case, the statements didn't qualify under as ones that were protected under the U.S. Code. And that's what we have here. We have the defendant failing to take simple precautions of properly hanging up what she knows is a recorded call. So the state would ask that the defense motion be denied.
Final argument on the motion to suppress from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. There are two cases. I cited a number of cases, and I know Your Honor's practices review those in addition. There are two additional cases I provided copies to the state that I am relying on. The first is Hentz versus State, 62 Southern 3rd, 1184. State versus Mozo, 655 Southern 2nd, 1115. May I approach?
You may.
Are these in your motions? Bozo, you said? Mozo or Bozo?
So, Your Honor, I want to start with a very general proposition that's important for us to remember. Right to privacy is enshrined in the Florida Constitution. Article 1, Section 23 provides the right of people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures and against the unreasonable...
Mozo. Communications which take place in one's home are protected by Florida statutes. Yeah, but like she forgot to hang up and she just didn't hang up. There's more context to it.
Interception of private communications by any means shall not be violated. Article 1, Section 23, the Florida Constitution also provides that every natural person has a right to be let alone free of governmental intrusion into the person's private life. Fourth Amendment includes similar protections. 934.02 defines an oral communication as any oral communication uttered by a person exhibiting an expectation that such communication is not subject to interception under circumstances justifying such expectation. The courts have held in Florida, as cited in my motion, for an oral conversation to be protected, the speaker must have an objective expectation of privacy along with a societal recognition that the expectation is reasonable. Your Honor, State versus Mozo, almost 20 years ago, courts have held that conversations, oral communications taking place in one's home.
See, but the thing is, like, does that expectation becomes unreasonable if you're the one who failed to hang up the phone call? That's on you.
Are protected by Chapter 934.
I don't think this point is reasonably in dispute, but go ahead.
Now, the question, obviously, is the objective portion of this test. In Hentz versus State, 4th DCA, and Hentz is a situation, Your Honor, where an individual was in an interview room at a police department. He placed a call to essentially a co-conspirator, co-defendant, and the recording equipment was powerful enough in that interview room to pick up the other end of the call that is made to Hentz. Based on what law enforcement heard from the individual who was calling Mr. Hentz, they obtained a search warrant for his cell phone. And on the cell phone, they found images.
Wait, you're telling me this guy made a phone call and then, I mean, I guess he didn't know that the recording thing was still recording, but damn, like, wouldn't you just be like, okay, I'm going to step out of the room and make a phone call, not call the co-conspirator? Was it in the interrogation room?
That are able to possess, as well as other evidence of a crime that the two of them engaged in. The Hentz court held that, and another important factor, Your Honor, Mr. Hentz was aware that the individual on the other end of the phone was at the police department waiting to speak to law enforcement. The court held that Hentz had a subjective expectation of privacy, and his expectation was one society accepts as reasonable. Now, one distinguishing factor I need to acknowledge that, but I submit it's not just possible.
Yeah, because that one's probably different because he probably thought well, they're supposed to shut off the recording device and then maybe give the person privacy to make a phone call, whatever the fuck it is. But I don't know. There's sometimes, like, if it's an interrogation room, aren't there, like, cameras and stuff?
Is that while Hentz did not know that the individual was sitting in a police interview room, whereas Mrs. Adelson knew that Charlie was in jail and had consented to her call with Charlie being recorded. But the oral communication that is protected by Chapter 934 that is at issue here are the conversations that Mrs. Adelson had after Charlie dropped off the call, when she believed the call was no longer being recorded. Conversation, at least with respect to November 7th, is with her attorney and her husband. Both are confidential relationships.
Doesn't the warning, though, about the recording almost directly speak to that issue where, I'll read the case that you've given me about Hintz. Although he knew his friend was at the police station, he never received an explicit warning about you may be recorded if you continue on this conversation.
Correct, and I'm going to get to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The testimony, uncontroverted testimony, is that Mrs. Adelson believes she hung the phone up once she realized Charlie was no longer on the call. There's no evidence otherwise. And I don't think it is reasonable to require an individual in a situation like that, I just had a recorded phone call, let me repeatedly hit the end button. Hit it once, that should be enough. She believed that she ended the phone call. Now, Hence also addressed something else that I think is important. Chapter 934.03 is a general intent statute. It does not require that the state intentionally recorded after one party of this jail call drops off. It's not required. Was the system designed to intentionally record? The answer has to be yes. Investigator Newland testified, yes, intentionally designed to record. Now, the state, I anticipated that they would argue accident or inadvertence. This is not an accident. An accident is something that doesn't happen frequently. Mrs. Adelson testified the call, Charlie dropping off the call would happen frequently. And as Investigator Newland acknowledged, Defense Exhibit 3 and Defense Exhibit 1 established, this was not an isolated issue. This happened. The system is intentionally designed to continue recording. Under Chapter 934, I submit that when either side of the call is no longer on the call, that the system has to stop recording, and any additional recording is a violation. And that's what we have here. This is not an accident. This is not inadvertent. Securest Technologies system is designed to continue to record after either one of those parties drops off the call. Investigator Newland said that it terminates when both parties hang up. Well, I submit, Your Honor, that that's not what happens. It continues to record, and it is not reasonable. And society is not expecting that somebody sit there with their phone and continue to hit the end button to make sure that the call stops on their own. I think that's
But do you have to continue to hit the end button, or you hit it once? It's disconnected.
Testimony is that she believes she did.
What?
Go ahead.
She believes she did?
Because this is not a specific intent statute, is the system designed to intend to record? Yes. And there's no evidence that this was accidental or inadvertent. This is not a pocket dial, as the state argued.
You know what? Just blame it on the Apple iPhone. The Apple iPhone should have hung up. I pressed the button. It didn't hang up.
We know that Charlie intentionally called his mom. We know that the system intentionally recorded the call. The state has not presented sufficient evidence to establish this is not a communication that society is, that there's a reasonable expectation that society would accept that this call is anything other than something that is entitled to protection 934 and Florida Constitution.
And we'll review the cases that were presented by both parties before making any ruling. I'll reserve on the ruling as to today. We'll take a brief 5-minute break before we get...
All right, he's going to reserve on his ruling. We'll have to wait later on. They're going to take a 5-minute break. That's longer than 5 minutes. This is a 5-minute break? It's like a 10-minute break. Okay, so Donna's going to come back and testify in the stand. I think this is where she talks about the jail conditions. Maybe. I think so. It seems like she's up here for a bit. Okay. All right, guys. We're almost done. We're almost done.
We take the stand once again. You remain under oath. You are sworn to tell the truth.
Tell the truth, Donna.
You may examine when you're ready, Ms. Wolford.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Adelson, at the commencement of the hearing on the motion to suppress you said your name for the record, Donna Adelson. Can you tell the court how many times prior to your arrest for the charges that are pending in this case have you been arrested for criminal offenses?
Never.
And how long were you incarcerated at the Leon County Detention Facility? Do you recall?
15 and a half months, 470 days.
And you know, for some people, murder just might be their first crime.
And within that period of time, the 470 days, have you been held in the same location in the Leon County Detention Facility or different locations?
Different locations.
Okay, and your first location was where?
First location was in solitary confinement on a direct observation unit.
Do you know how long you were there?
50 days.
Okay. And where did you go following solitary?
To the N pod, like N is in November. It's an open pod, general population.
What does that mean, open pod, general population?
So I was with 60 some odd other inmates, all in one open area.
And you had beds in your room, I assume?
There were each sections off about 10 women. So, and there'd be a cement wall, and then there'd be another 10 women and a cement wall. So it was fairly quiet, actually, even with that many women, because we were separated in small groups, so it wasn't that loud.
Okay, and do you recall when you were taken out of the in like Nancy pod?
Yes, in August, they said they had maintenance to do, and that we would be moved to the annex, which is a building outside of the jail.
Okay, and so I'm not going to be specific as to dates, but you were arrested in November of 2023 in solitary confinement for 50 days to whatever date that took you to.
January 9th.
Okay, and then from January 9th all the way through some date in August of 2024.
Correct.
You were in the in like Nancy pod. And then you said you were transferred to the annex. Can you describe the conditions inside the annex, please?
So the annex is kind of a temporary type building. It's not a brick building. It's kind of like a temporary building, and it's and there are 66 women, all in bunk beds, all open. You're kind of one on top of the next. There's no separation at all.
So one big open room?
One big open room with 66 beds, yes.
Okay. And how long did you stay? So from August of 2024 until when? How long did you stay in the annex?
I was moved again on February 3rd, 2025.
Okay. Okay, and you were here when the gentleman was testifying about the call buttons to alert someone if you're having a medical emergency. Was there one of those in the N pod?
No.
Was there one in the annex?
No.
Okay. I'd like to start the motion for a bond that we filed in this case, as the court indicated earlier. One of the issues that we have raised are medical conditions that you're facing. So I'd like to start with your medical conditions and present some testimony to the court about those, okay?
Okay.
Okay. We're not going to go over every medical condition you've had since you've been incarcerated in the jail, but I'd like to start with one that you have that's causing you some pain in your leg and back area. Okay. Let me just start with this. Can you describe to the court the kind of pain and discomfort that you're having with this particular injury or issue?
Yeah, it's I know what it is because I've had it in the past. It's sciatic pain, and I get like a pulling kind of shooting pain down my legs.
Okay. And you said you've had it in the past. You mean prior to becoming incarcerated at the Leon County Jail?
Yes.
Okay. And during the course of time before you were incarcerated at the Leon County Jail, did you seek treatment for that condition?
Yes, I did.
And what type of treatment did you obtain for that?
So I saw my orthopedist, and he gave me a steroid injection in my spine.
Okay. How long were you suffering from the sciatic condition prior to becoming incarcerated?
How long, the last episode?
Before you were incarcerated in jail, for how many years had you been suffering with the sciatic issue?
So no, I had it last about 10 years ago. I haven't had it all this time.
Okay.
But then it recurred a few months ago.
Okay. And what was the treatment that you were provided prior to your incarceration for your sciatic condition?
It was the steroid injection, and within 48 hours, it was gone. The pain was gone. It was amazing.
And where do they do the steroid injection? Where's that in your body?
In my spine.
Spine. Okay. Is that outpatient procedure, inpatient?
Yes, outpatient.
Outpatient. Okay.
Can they numb that when they do the injections in the spine? Because like, oh God, that just sounds so painful. Like even if they were to shoot something in your spine to numb it, like the initial injection of that, like, oh God, that sounds horrible.
All right. And during the course of time that you've been in the Leon County Jail, did you start to experience the sciatic pain again?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do when you started to experience that pain?
I wrote a sick call, and I went to see the doctor.
Okay. Where do you get these sick call forms from?
From the nurse.
Okay. And when do you have the opportunity to see a nurse with sick call forms?
Well, they come twice a day. They come in the morning and they come in the evening.
Okay. And we'll get to what those times are at a later point. But if you don't get a form from a nurse, is there another way to obtain it that you're aware of?
No, that's the only way I've ever gotten it is from a nurse.
Okay. Do you recall approximately how far into your incarceration you started having the sciatic issues again?
I didn't have it until I was in the annex, so that was sometime over the last, I've been there 6 months. I don't remember the specific date, but I didn't have it before the annex.
Okay. And once you started experiencing it in the annex, did you complete a form to see medical attention?
Yes.
This is weird, but my favorite shot is the one where they numb your basically your gums and your teeth area when they do like the cavity stuff. I don't know why I like that one. So they put like the numbing cream inside and then they let it sit for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and then they come and they shoot you with the thing like I don't know. Anyways, I'm weird.
Okay, and as a result of completing that form, did you have an opportunity to meet with someone in the medical center at the Leon County Jail?
I saw the doctor there.
And
Yes.
what happened?
And I explained what I had, and she said, we do not treat that type of problem. We could offer you some Tylenol.
And did they provide you with Tylenol?
They did.
And has that relieved you of the pain that you suffer?
No, it's Tylenol. It's not gonna do what I need to have done, no.
Okay. So sometime since you've been in the annex, you made your request for treatment for the sciatic issue. Have you requested treatment more than once?
Yes.
Okay, and have you received any additional opportunities to meet with any of the medical staff regarding this pain?
No.
What happens when you request treatment and you don't get to see them? Do they tell you that you're not going to be allowed to see them again? What happens?
No. Usually I wait a week, and if I don't hear anything, then I'll write another one, and I'll write this is a second request or this is a third request. And then I think they said I think I got an answer. They sometimes just answer it and give it to the pod officer, and she'll hand out papers at night, which is the response to your requests. And on that one, they said you're already getting pain medication for this. That was the Tylenol.
And the pain medication is just regular Tylenol?
Regular Tylenol.
Okay. At some point, did you have an opportunity to speak to someone in medical care regarding a way to resolve some of the pressure in your leg for use of a medical mattress?
Yes. So while I was down with the doctor during one visit, she said, you know, what might be helpful, because you're sleeping on metal and the mattress is maybe a half-inch thick, maybe. She said what would help is if I could get a medical mattress for you. I had never heard that term before, but I said, okay, if you think it'll help, that would be great. And she left the room, she went into another room, and then she came back in and said, yeah, I thought that would be a good idea, but they don't have it here, so my best thoughts for you would be to get a second mattress, so it'll thicken it a little bit, and that might give you some relief at night.
Okay. And did you obtain a second mattress?
I did.
And this is while you were in the annex?
Well,
How did you get the additional mattress?
so the pod officer asked one of the inmates to go where they have extra mattresses. They have piles of 20, 30 mattresses there, to go get one of the extra mattresses and put it on my bed so that I had the extra mattress.
Okay. And during the time that you were allowed to have the additional mattress, did you get any relief?
Yes, at night, because I used to get the pains even if I was just lying down. And that definitely relieved some of the pain at night, so that was good.
Okay. And at some point, did they take the additional mattress away?
Yes, so on February 3rd, I was moved out of the annex to protective custody in the main jail building. And since I've been there, the officer removed the second mattress. She said, why do you have this? And I told her why. And she said, well, you have this.
And
so they took it away.
Okay. And since the additional mattress has been taken away, have you started to experience worsened pain?
Yeah, it's worse.
Okay. And have you requested any medical treatment for that?
Well, I spoke to the...
Yeah, sleeping on a shitty mattress sucks. Don't go to jail. Don't go to prison.
I spoke to the doctor.
Hey, Wahoo.
I don't remember the date. Shortly after it was taken away, I was down for a different reason, and she said, yeah, I thought it was a good idea, but if you can't have it, you can't have it.
Okay. All right. Now, the relief that you got when you were able to have the additional mattress, did that completely take away the pain?
No.
Okay.
No.
And do you experience this pain when you're walking, sitting? What?
So, in the beginning, I was just getting it when I was walking. So it limited the amount of walking I could do, but I get it when I'm sitting, I get it lying down, I get it all the time now. So it's not like I have it all the time. It comes and goes, but when it just comes, I could be sitting, I could be standing, it just happens.
Okay. We're going to go into more details about how it took place in a few more minutes, but for now I'd like to talk about, are there any other areas that you are experiencing any pain?
Yes, I have a problem with my left arm.
And describe to the court what that problem is, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing.
So I have like shooting pain from the top here of my shoulder down the outside of my arm into my forearm.
Okay. And you're pointing to your left arm. Is that the one you're referring to?
It's my left arm.
Okay. And so shooting pain down the arm. Anything into your hands?
Yeah. The pain is like hot. It's like a burning pain, and my thumb, index, and middle finger gotten like tingling. It almost feels like ants are crawling on them. It's like a numbness of those fingers.
Okay. And is this pain that you were experiencing prior to your incarceration at Leon County Jail?
No.
Okay. About when did this pain begin?
So I was assaulted by another inmate while I was here the beginning of October.
October of 2024?
Yes,
And when you say the Leon County Jail?
yes.
Okay. All right. Since you began experiencing that pain, since
I slowed it down.
October of 2024, have you requested medical treatment?
Yes.
And what has the response been?
They said they would take an x-ray, but in the meantime, I could have Tylenol.
Okay. And you said that was in approximately October of 2024. Have you been requesting treatment for that pain since October of 2024?
Several times.
Okay.
Yes.
And you heard the testimony of the gentleman previously. At some point, did they do an x-ray on your arm?
Yes.
And when was that?
It might have been February 3rd. No, that's the day I moved. Shortly after February 3rd. I don't know the date.
Was it after you were removed and placed in protective custody?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Is the Tylenol helped with the pain that you're experiencing?
No.
After they performed the x-ray, were you called back into the medical unit?
It was for another reason, but they did call me, and they told me that the x-ray showed no fracture.
Okay, no fracture, that's what they were looking for.
That's what they were looking for.
Did they offer any type of physical therapy for your shoulder, anything at all?
No, I asked if they could do anything for it, and they said no.
Okay.
The guy said he gave her like range of movement exercises.
Tylenol.
Maybe he meant for something
All right.
else.
Do you have any other medical conditions that you wanted us to address in the bond hearing that you're suffering from?
So I have a hearing issue.
Okay.
I have a problem. I evidently have very narrow ear canals, and so the wax builds up in my ears to the point that, I mean, I have officers that say to me, "Are you deaf, Adelson?" When I don't respond to them, it's because I don't hear them. And so I did ask for help in the, I asked the doctor if there was anything they could do for me, and I told her what's normally done, and she said, we use Debrox to soften the wax, and then you come down 3 or 4 days later, and we use a bulb syringe to remove it. And I said, that doesn't work. I need a different procedure. And she said, that's all we can do for you.
Okay. And did you know, based on your prior treatment before you came into the Leon County Jail, that it required something other than the flushing system?
Yes, I did know.
Do you recall the name of the doctor that you saw for this condition?
Yes, I've seen him for years. Dr. Molina.
Okay. And Dr. Molina, how long do you think that you saw him for this condition prior to your incarceration?
I mean, several years.
Okay.
4 years, 5 years, I don't know.
Okay. And during the course of his treatment for you, how often would you go to have the wax removed from your small ear canals?
Yeah, every 3 to 4 months. If I waited longer than that, couldn't hear.
Okay. And did he use this method, or did he do something different?
No.
What did he do?
He used some kind of, I don't know what it's called, but it's some kind of electronic device that he puts one end in my ear, and he's able to remove the wax using that device, that medical device.
And in your experience prior to incarceration, when you were having that procedure done, did your hearing improve?
Immediately. Okay. Yeah, immediately.
May I approach the witness, Sean?
You may.
And it's a report from Dr. Molina, your doctor. Could you review that just to yourself for a moment? Okay. Does that describe the treatment that he was providing to you?
Yes.
Okay. And it includes a recommendation that you continue to receive the same treatment, potentially with another ENT in Tallahassee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This time the defense would offer Defense Exhibit 1.
Admitted.
You have, without disclosing any of the conversations, of course, but during the course of the time that you have met with counsel at the jail, have you had difficulty hearing us while we're trying to discuss your case with us?
Yes.
And what about over the telephone? Are you experiencing difficulty hearing us in that way?
Yeah, the telephone is a problem.
Okay.
I wonder if we have calls to back that up.
Have you actually gotten in trouble by some of the guards at the jail because they've instructed you to do something and you weren't able?
Yes.
Has that happened on more than one occasion?
It's happened on several occasions.
Okay. And have you experienced over the course of your incarceration that your hearing is getting worse and worse?
Oh, yeah.
All right. This is not a significant, I'm going to move on to something else now, and this is not a significant injury, but I did want to address this with respect to the type of medical care that you are getting at the jail. Did something happen to you recently where you cut your arm?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the court what happened, please.
So I was,
So when she explains her story for some of these, I'm going to slow it down in real time. That way to see if, to see her demeanor.
I was walking past the washing machine on my way to the restroom, and I bumped into the, there's like a metal bracket that holds the washing machine in place, I guess, and it was my fault. I bumped into it.
And what happened?
So I cut my arm pretty badly.
So what did you do after you cut your arm?
So timing was it's kind of interesting because the med nurse was there doing morning meds. So I got onto the bleeding wouldn't stop. It was just pouring out. And so I figured I'll get on the line with the other girls and I'll speak to the med nurse. So I waited my turn and I got to the med nurse and she says, "Whoa, what happened to you?" And I said, "My fault. I just bumped into the machine and I cut myself." So she looked at it and she said, "Yeah, that's a problem." I said, "Yeah, can I get a Band-Aid or gauze or something, some antibiotic cream?" She said, "Yeah, I don't have any antibiotic cream and I don't have a Band-Aid." So I looked at her and I said, "Well, what should I do?" She said, "Well, why don't you use your toilet paper and put it on there?" I said, "But it's gushing. I can't put toilet paper on there." So one of the girls saw me and she said, "Oh my God!" And she came running over and she opens up a sanitary napkin and she put it on there so that it was filling the sanitary napkin with blood. And so another girl came over. She took the bloodied one away and she gave me hers too. And I was applying that. I said to the nurse again, "We're not going to be able to stop it holding this. Isn't there something you can do?" She says, "The best I could offer you would be to fill out a medical request form." So I said, "You want me to do that now?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, can I have a medical request form?" She says, "Oh, I don't have any." Jesus. I said, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" And she said, "I don't know what to tell you." She's maybe the night nurse.
Okay. So this was just a couple of days before you were transferred to protective custody, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But do you recall that it was on Saturday, the 1st of February?
It was a Saturday morning, yes.
Okay. And so about what time of morning would this have been if this was the morning med nurse?
It could have been 9 or 10,
Okay.
somewhere in the morning.
Okay. And when she told you that she didn't have any sick call forms for you to request a Band-Aid and you would need to get it from the night nurse, approximately what time does the night nurse come?
So the night nurse comes anywhere from 11:30 to 2:30 in the morning.
11:30 p.m. to
PM.
to what time?
2:30 a.m.
30 a.m.
Right.
And in the meantime, you were supposed to use the feminine pads?
I called my husband. He told me to elevate my arm, to wash it, to try to wash it frequently, just to keep my arm up. And that's what I did. And one girl brought over toilet paper, but that was sticking to the wound, so that wasn't good. So I kept borrowing sanitary pads to hold it.
Okay. And at some point, did the night nurse come?
Yes, she came that night.
Okay. And what happened when she got there?
She didn't have a Band-Aid either.
Okay.
She didn't have antibiotic ointment either. And I said, "This has been going on since early this morning."
Judge.
How do they not have Band-Aids? I'm sorry, but that just seems like just basic shit, like Band-Aid, maybe some alcohol, like just get like little like medical kit. Like I don't know. That or maybe she's like misrepresenting it. Maybe we'll hear from the nurse, but that just seems weird.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just turned around and noticed that some of the state's witnesses have re-entered the courtroom. We had previously invoked the rule for the bond proceeding.
All right. And for anyone who is here to testify concerning bond, please step outside the courtroom.
The night nurse came, and the night nurse didn't have a Band-Aid either.
No antibiotic, no Band-Aid, and no, the form that I was told to ask her for, the sick call form, she said, I don't have them, we haven't had them in a while.
The night nurse.
The night nurse.
So how are you supposed to request, according to the night nurse then, how are you supposed to request assistance?
So I was actually fortunate because there was a sergeant with the night nurse. She accompanies the nurse when she comes there, and she took a look at what I looked like, and the night nurse said, yeah, that's a problem. And so the sergeant said, I'm going to make sure you get a Band-Aid, and I'm going to make sure you get a form. You'll get it by tomorrow. When I go back with the night nurse, she said, I'll run some off on the machine, some copies, and I'm going to make sure that you get it.
And did she?
The next morning.
Okay.
The next morning I got it.
From the sergeant?
From the sergeant, yes.
Okay. You got the
Okay.
Band-Aid and the call nurse?
Yes.
Call form?
The call form.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Yeah.
So she had a
I'm
result the
showing you what
next
the
day.
defense has marked as Defense Exhibit 2. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yeah,
Or what is that?
that's a few days after I got cut, and that's the clear Band-Aid that they gave me to put on top.
Okay. After you got the bandage to put on over your wound, did you get additional medical treatment for the wound?
So no, not then, about, I don't know how many days later, but when I went down to medical a few days later, they said, how long are you wearing this bandage? And I said, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, whatever it had been. And they said, this should have been cleaned and changed every day. Why didn't you have that done? I said, I don't know. This is what they gave me to put on, and that's what I did.
Okay. The photograph, does that truly and accurately depict what your injury looked like the few days after it occurred with the bandage on it?
That's what it looked like.
The defense would offer Exhibit 2 into evidence.
An objection to defense 2.
No, sir.
May I approach?
You may.
And at this follow-up visit, then, did they change your bandage and clean the wound?
They cleaned it, and they put antibiotic cream on it, and
Okay.
I changed it, yes.
And did you get any additional treatment for the wound?
No.
Did you request that you get a tetanus shot?
My husband said, Donna, there was if rust on that metal, which there was, he said, you should ask for a tetanus shot.
And so did you request
So
it?
I requested it, and they did give it to me.
Okay. And then, as far as your medical conditions go, the last thing I want to talk about is something that I would give 2 different descriptions of, but I'm just asking the questions. You're the one providing the information to the court in your testimony.
Okay.
So this shortness of breath or heavy breathing that you're experiencing, how long has that been going on?
It's been going on several months, probably at least 3 months, I would think.
Okay. And did it, you're experiencing it then during your incarceration? Did you have it prior to being incarcerated?
No, I did not.
Okay. What have you noticed about the breathing, and how would you describe it? Shortness of breath, heavy breathing, what?
I know, I guess it sounds like heavy breathing, it's shortness of breath. I've never had that before. I'm not a doctor, I don't know, I've gained more than 1/3 of my body weight here. The diet is all carbs, no protein, and when you get spaghetti with mashed potatoes, cornbread, and white bread, that's your dinner. That's very typical of what we get. And we've had no exercise at all. We're confined, especially in the annex. The annex, we've been confined to our beds almost all the time. Once in a while, we get a pod officer that lets us walk, so you can walk in a circle around the girls' beds. But otherwise, there's no, even if you want to get off your bed and just try to do stretches or wall push-ups or anything, she says, this is not an exercise room, there's no exercising here. We don't get taken outside.
Let me stop you. One of these issues at a time. So with respect to the time period when you've been in the annex, which was from August of 24 until recently February of 2025, was it your understanding you're supposed to be taken outside a certain number of times?
Well, the inmate handbook says you get a minimum of 3 hours of outside time per day, per week.
Okay, and during your time in the annex, did you experience a week where you got 3 hours of time outside?
We haven't gotten 3 hours in 6 months.
Okay. How many times did you go outside while you were in the annex?
Before you continue, Mrs. Adelson.
Yes.
We have 30 minutes left in the hearing. Ms. Fulford, I understand your client is disputing the adequacy of the care
we do need to move to the most pertinent matters. Please continue.
Okay, we're going to move off of that then. I do want to talk to you then about some physical issues that have taken place in the jail. The first one I want to talk about is an incident that took place in the shower, and we're going to do this one briefly. I'm sorry, how much time did you say we had, Judge?
30 more minutes.
Including argument?
Not including argument.
Okay, all right. So the first incident that took place in the shower, could you just briefly describe to the judge what happened there?
Yes, so I always, there's 7 shower heads, but I always take the same one because it's off in a corner, so I have a little bit more privacy than you'd have at the other ones, and so I would always shower there, and I was under the shower, and I was washing my hair, and I was the only one in the shower. I always go in early morning because there's nobody there. Most of the girls sleep, so I take a shower and I have a little privacy, and so I was washing my hair, and all of a sudden I felt a hand go up my back, like from the top of my butt up my back, and I yelled, "Stop it!" and I turned, and this girl said, "You like it?" And I said, "Get out of here!" And I started to scream, and she ran.
Okay. In the bathroom there, what was this? Which pod was this in?
This is in the annex.
In the annex. Okay. In the annex, are there guards positioned inside the area where you shower?
No.
Inside the area where you use the restroom?
No.
Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is what transpired in October of, thank you, October of 2024, where you had said previously you were attacked. What were you doing? Where were you at, first of all, at that place?
In October. So I was in the bathroom. It's 10:30 at night. I went in to brush my teeth.
Okay.
There are three sink stations in the bathroom. Each one has 4 sinks, and I was at the center station with my back to the door, and I'm a righty, so I was holding my toothbrush with my right hand, and I was balancing myself with my left hand on the sink. I was just brushing my teeth. That's all I was doing.
And what happened?
And someone came up behind me and pulled my left hand away from the sink and twisted my arm and like jerked it behind my back, like reaching up toward my neck.
Okay.
And
did it hurt?
Yeah, it hurt.
Okay. What happened?
It hurt. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she's, in the same breath that she did that with my arm, she said, "You're going to buy me commissary." I said, "I'm going to what?" And she said, "Unless you want those pretty white teeth knocked out of your mouth, you're going to buy me commissary." So I said, okay. And then she named a package that she wanted, and she's out. She was gone. She was just that fast.
Okay. How bad would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you rate the pain at the time that she did that to you?
Oh my God, it was a 10.
Okay.
I didn't know my arm could reach that far back.
Okay. And what did you do after she did that to you?
So, kind of stood there for a minute, and then I just thought, okay, I'm going to go back to my bunk. And I went back to my bunk, and I got under the covers, and I cried. I just stayed under my covers. I didn't come out.
Okay. During your entire time in the annex, did this particular inmate remain confined in that area with you?
She was in the annex the whole time.
Okay. And I know that you don't want to talk about who did this to you, because why? Why don't you want to disclose who it was?
There's one thing I've learned since I'm there is you don't, the word is snitch. You don't snitch. You don't tell on anyone because you'll be sorry you did. And I've seen that. And so I didn't even tell you for a while. I wasn't going to tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want she's a big woman, and I was afraid of her.
Okay. Approximately how tall would you say she is compared to you?
She's over 6 feet, she's over 200 pounds. She's
Okay.
a very large woman.
Okay. Were you afraid of her?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I was after that.
Okay. And you said that she demanded that you were going to start getting her weekly commissary. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me, can I have just one moment, Judge?
Go ahead.
I mean, my understanding right now is she's in protective custody, which I don't know is synonymous for just like solitary confinement, I think. Probably.
Your Honor, in order to move this along a little more promptly, I've requested of the state, and they have no objection. At this time, I'm going to offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 3. I'm sorry, I said state by mistake. Defense Exhibit number 3, Defense Exhibit number 4, and Defense Exhibit number 5.
The objection is legal.
May I
They are
urge?
admitted. Thank you.
Ms. Adelson, prior to ordering commissary for this woman who attacked you, were you getting commissary for yourself?
So I have an account, and you can buy up to $40 a week of food, and so I use that account to buy food, but not what she wanted. She wanted packages.
Okay, let's make sure the court understands. When you say buy food, is there normal commissary through the jail where you were getting your commissary?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you were spending $40 a week on for yourself?
Aramark, yes.
Okay, and what kind of items are you buying for yourself off of that?
I try to get some protein. I buy tuna fish with mayonnaise and,
Substitute meals, if you will?
Yes.
Okay, no noodles of any kind?
no.
Okay, all right. Now, is there a separate way that you can order commissary on the outside for inmates?
Yeah, I can't do that. It would have to be ordered from somebody. You have to ask somebody outside to place the order.
Okay, and when you refer to packages, is that the method that the woman who attacked you said she wanted you to get for her?
That's what she asked me to get her, yes.
Okay, and these packages cost about $40 each, is that correct?
40 and then $10 for packaging or shipping, so it's $50 a package.
Okay, and during the course of your time in the annex, while you were still in the annex, on just about every week, did she continue to find you in the bathroom and demand what packages that you would get ordered for her?
Yes,
And-
she must have been keeping an eye on me, but when I was in the bath, those are the only times she would approach me is in the bathroom, and she would tell me what she wanted for that week.
And did you make those orders through your husband?
I called my husband. I didn't tell him what happened. I just called him and said, honey, I want some extra food. Would you mind ordering some packages for me? And he said, sure, honey. And he did.
And he did that. And at the time that your normal canteen or commissary would be delivered, is that when the extra packages would be delivered as well?
Yes, all at the same time.
Okay, and in the course of things, you would go pick up your canteen and then her extra packages, is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
And where did you keep her items when you got back to the annex?
So it was, you have to carry your bin up, and they put the package, they open up a plastic bag, and they loosely put all the stuff in the bin. So it was all in a bin that I would and put under my bed.
Okay, and did you keep her eye care packages separated from your canteen?
Yes.
Okay, and how is it that she would receive her packages? How did she get the food?
So she would send, I used to say her minions, she used to pick different girls to come over to me, and they would say, package up 4 soups and 3 bags of chips. And the first time I didn't know what she wanted me to do, and she said, it's for, and she mentioned her name. I said, well, how am I supposed to do that? She said, just put it in your shirt, I'll meet you in the bathroom. So I would load these things in the top of my shirt, and I would hold the bottom of my shirt like this so that nothing would fall out, and I'd go to the bathroom, and then somebody would follow me in there, and she would take it out, transfer it into her shirt, and walk away.
And that continued from the time that she first yanked your arm behind your back in October all the way until you were put into protective custody, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, when you got into protective custody, in fact, did you receive your last packages for her?
So the last package came, I was put into protective custody on a Monday, and Tuesday, the commissary came with those packages and brought them to me.
Okay, and do you have that extra food in your protective custody room now?
They're sitting there. I don't eat that stuff, so it's all sitting on top of my bunk.
It's made up of noodles and chips and things of that nature. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I want to talk briefly about your time in protective custody. How big is the room that you're in?
6 by 9?
Okay, and are you in this room by yourself?
Yes.
And is the door, with the exception of when they allow you to come out, is the door kept closed all of the time?
It's supposed to be kept closed.
Okay, all right, and you're given, I'm kind of leading here, Judge, to try and get us through this, but you're allowed to come out of that room 1 hour per day on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, is that correct?
That's correct.
And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you get to come out for 20 minutes, is that
20
right?
minutes.
Okay, and on the weekends, you don't get to come
Not
out?
at all.
Okay, make sure you don't talk over me, okay?
I'm sorry.
It's okay, we're talking over each other.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So Saturday and Sunday, you don't come out at all. During your hour 3 days a week and your 20 minutes 2 days a week, is that when you are given the opportunity to take a shower?
Yes.
If you have time to walk, that's when you walk?
So on an hour day, I'll walk for 40 minutes or about, and then I'll take my shower at the ends of that, so I get my shower in.
Okay, and laundry also, that's what you use that
All
time
of
for?
that, yes.
Other than that, you're locked inside that room?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now, it was your understanding when you were put into protective custody that there's not ever supposed to be anybody out around you, is that right?
That's what I was told.
Okay, but protective custody is actually attached to a pod, is it not?
Yes.
And what pod is that?
M-Pod, like Mary.
Okay. At some point, did you learn that this individual who attacked you was also, at least for some period of time, in that same area?
I'm not sure where she was. She might have been.
Okay.
I didn't see her.
You didn't see her?
I
Okay.
heard that she was there, but I didn't see her.
Okay. Now, you have testified earlier that different guards have kind of different rules that they follow inside the jail. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. During the time that you've been in protective custody, when you were told you should not be around anyone else in the pod or otherwise, have there been times when guards would have you around other inmates?
Yes.
Okay. Was there an occasion where another girl came and knocked on your door wanting you to give her food?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, okay. And what happened when you said you would give her food?
I said, I have all that extra food. I don't mind giving it to people. So,
Okay. And so how were you going to give it to her?
well, that's what I said to her. How am I going to get this to you? And so she gave the guard a high sign, and the guard buzzed the door open, and it was her and a friend of hers, the two of them, and they'd only stepped in my foot, came in, and I gave them some soups.
Okay. Is that the only time that you've been around other people since you've been put in protective custody, or have there been other
There
situations?
have been other times, like yesterday, the officer buzzed my door, so I guess there was something she wanted me to do, so I opened my door, and I came out, and there were maybe, I don't know, half a dozen girls watching TV. I walked past them, and I asked the officer, what did you want? And she said, Miss Adelson, I didn't mean to buzz you, just go back to your room. I said, okay. So
Okay.
I turned around and went back.
Okay. We have to move along a little bit faster here. So one of the things that's been a big issue for you is lack of sleep. So we're going to just kind of go through this quickly for the court. But you testified previously that the nighttime medications come between 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 or 2 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And part of the nighttime medications that you get, is there something in there to assist you to go to sleep?
Yes.
Okay. And then you get the medication. About how long after that is it before you can go to sleep?
From the time I get it, probably a half hour.
Okay. All right. And what time are you woken up for breakfast?
Between 3 and 3:30.
Okay.
Last night was 3:10. Just within that half hour range is when it comes.
Okay. And once you're woken up for breakfast, are you capable of going back to sleep?
No.
Have you tried to go back to
Oh,
sleep?
my God. Yes, I try.
So that period of that block of time that you get from the time you fall asleep after your night meds until you're woken up for breakfast, that's the only sleep that you're getting while you're incarcerated?
That's it.
How has that affected you?
So, listen, I know older people don't need as much sleep as younger people, but I need more than 2 hours a night. I need more than a good night is 3. One night I had 3.5 hours. It's not enough sleep to stay focused. I mean, I feel like I'm foggy sometimes because I'm just sleeping. I'm tired, and I can't go to sleep. They've got people screaming and yelling. They bang on the doors. They shake the doors. It sounds like a drum in there. It's horrible. So I can't sleep with all that noise going on. And
Okay. Do you have legal documents that we have provided to you or prior counsel has provided to you that you need to review to assist in the preparation of your defense?
say that to me again.
Sure. Do you keep legal documents with you that you're supposed to be reviewing to assist to prepare for your defense?
Sure, I've got two bins full of them.
Okay. Are you having difficulty completing the tasks that we're asking you to do because of your lack of sleep?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to talk to you for just a second. You're able to make calls to your lawyer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, there might be some like policy issues that we need to address, you know, better conditions. But a lot of the stuff that she's describing, I mean, a lot of it's just, yeah, it sucks to be in jail. There's like systems put in place for you to, you know, you can't get all the care that you want, you know, the ear cleaning stuff. You're having issues getting proper care for your sciatica pain and all that stuff. You're getting x-rays and then they're like, well, I don't see anything, so you must be fine. Yeah, it sucks. The process sucks. The abuse stuff definitely sucks, but she was put in protective custody and she's like, well, I don't want to be in solitary confinement. I don't know what they do when, I don't know what, I feel like that's usually the route that they take. It's like, okay, well, we're going to put you in protective custody, but then you have no interaction with like anyone. It's not like they can separate you into like a different group that's like a lot nicer and isn't going to bully you around. I don't know. I don't know how they do things. But these are the things that, yeah, it sucks to be incarcerated. That's horrible. Now, maybe in a larger grand scheme of things, talk about the policy stuff, but I mean, she's not gonna be able to do anything. She's just trying to get out on bond. I don't know if she's gonna be able to get out on bond. I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially when they caught her at the airport trying to leave.
Off of your tablet, correct?
Yes.
And those are supposed to be attorney-client privilege calls, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and they're not recorded according to what's said on the recording when you make the calls, is that
That's
right?
right.
During the time that you were in the annex, were you in a situation where you could be away from everybody so that you could make those calls without anyone hearing?
No, I had to make the calls under my blanket because you couldn't hear me. I certainly couldn't hear you. So I would go under my blanket with the tablet and I would call you that way.
That didn't keep the other inmates who were standing right next to you from hearing?
It is what it is.
Okay, was there a time when you and I were speaking and when you pulled the cover, was a guard there listening to your call?
Yes, there was.
And during the time that you and I are having conversations, do you also experience the same kind of problems with the phone that you had heard that Charlie had while talking to you, where the calls are dropped, et cetera?
We've had it numerous times.
Okay. Are there times where we're not able to hear each other on phone calls?
Yes.
Is there static on the phone calls?
It's static, and now you've been complaining because I have this shortness of breath, so you say I'm breathing very heavy, and it's hard to hear me.
Okay.
So it's difficult.
All right, let me ask you a few questions. We're requesting that His Honor allow you to be out on bond pending your trial so that you can assist in the preparation of your defense. If His Honor ordered that you reside here in Leon County and not leave Leon County until the conclusion of the trial, would you agree to do that?
Yes, of course.
If he placed you on an electronic monitor, would you agree to take that?
Yes.
Okay. If he required that you have a curfew from 7 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning, would you comply with the curfew?
I would do that.
Do you have the ability to do these things?
Yes.
Okay. You have the ability to get housing here in Tallahassee where you could live with your husband?
Sure.
Okay. And if he said that, you can leave outside of the curfew, you can leave to go meet with your lawyers, medical appointments if you need medical appointments, coming to court, those type of things, would you comply with those orders as well?
Yes, I'd be grateful just to get a night's sleep. It would be great.
Okay. If he ordered that you had to surrender your driver's license during the pendency from now until the end of the trial and not drive, would you agree to comply with that?
Yes, I would.
Have just one moment, please. Thought I had asked this, but I might not have. For the medical conditions that you have complained of during the time that you were speaking with the doctor.
I feel like the state, they are listening very closely to hear if the labor breathing continues like all throughout.
And they said that they didn't give you the treatments that you were requesting. Did they ever offer that they would have a doctor from the outside perform the treatment for you?
No.
I don't have anything further.
Student cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
All right. State
So
cross-examination.
the incident in the shower, after you let the inmate know that you did not like what she was doing by telling her to stop, did she ever try that again?
No.
And that inmate's no longer, or you didn't disclose the name of that inmate, but you did tell the investigator that that inmate is no longer in jail with you, right?
She's no longer there. She left shortly after that.
Okay. As far as the arm twist incident from October of 2024, you said you reported that in February of 2025?
Yes.
Okay. And you wouldn't give the name, you said you wouldn't give the name of her to the investigator either, okay?
No.
But you, if you would give her name, that instead of you being separated from the pod, she could be separated from you and you could be back with the general population.
Yeah, but she's not the only one that could hurt me. That's why I wouldn't do it. She had a half a dozen girls that came up to me.
Was there ever any physical violence by her or anyone she's friends with after that October
No.
24 incident?
No, that was it, that day.
And by being in solitary confinement, does it give you an opportunity to have a quieter space where you can prepare for trial?
I guess it would be a quiet space if I could get some sleep and I would be able to concentrate on what I'm supposed to do. Yes, that would be helpful.
Do you also get in-person visits with your attorney in jail?
I do.
Okay, and when that happens, are you in a room alone with him or her or both?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And y'all are able to have conversations then that are private?
yes.
For the sciatic nerve, in December of 2024, were you offered a Solumet steroid injection for that pain that you declined?
I am going to object to the use of the medical records by the state based on the prior objection.
Student, do you have an ability to show that these records were not a part of what was obtained by Investigator Newland that is still disputed?
No, these are part of what was obtained by Investigator Newland, but my understanding is that the defense would have opened the door to this by asking her all of these times she was seen by medical staff, and what basically was not done for her.
As to that, I will permit the witness to answer. You may answer, Ms. Adelson.
Could you ask me one more time?
Yes, ma'am. For the sciatic pain that radiates down your right leg, were you offered a Solumedrol, a steroid injection, and then after that, a Medrol, so a steroid dose pack, that you declined until you were able to speak with your physician?
No, I told her that in the past I had gotten a steroid injection in my spine, and she said, we don't do that. I could offer you, and it was a Medrol dose pack, I think.
A Solumedrol injection?
I could offer you that, but we don't do that. And having had sciatica twice in my lifetime, I know what's been done each time, and I know that worked. And so she said, we can't do that. We don't offer that. You would need to see a specialist for that.
Okay. I'm going to show you this page at the encounter from December 13th, 2024 at 3:22 p.m. What does it say? Offered patient a Solumedrol injection, and then starting tomorrow, a Medrol dose pack. Patient requested decline until she can speak with her physician.
I don't know what a Solumedrol injection, but she told me they don't give steroidal injections in the spine. She says we don't do that. And I don't recall her offering an injection. I do remember she said I could give you other medication. But I've been there. I've done that. I know what happens with sciatica, and I know what needs to be done. That's not going to be the answer.
For your arm and shoulder pain, isn't it true that you reported you had mild pain in your left arm and
So
shoulder?
now it's her word against the nurse?
I heard a gentleman say that before. I couldn't believe it. I told her that I had severe burning pain down the outer part of my arm. I never used the word mild pain. So I don't know where they got that from, but that's not what I said.
Okay. I'm going to show you the encounter from February 3rd, 2025 at 2:29 p.m. Under musculoskeletal, does it say positive for left upper extremity limited ROM range of motion, comma, mild pain?
That's what it says, but that's not what I said. No way is that pain mild.
I mean, it's possible that whoever wrote in these medical records could have been wrong twice.
So that's just what the doctor would have written down, but you're saying that's not what you told the doctor?
I did, had that been given to me and I read it and I had to sign it, I would say I never said this. But I'm telling you, I never said mild pain.
Okay.
It's shooting hot pain down my arm.
For that injury, you did have an x-ray. They did go over that x-ray with you and let you know that there was no fracture or dislocation.
There was no fracture, that's what she told me. I didn't think it was a fracture. No.
Or dislocation of your shoulder or arm?
No, there's just pain.
And they also went over your chest x-ray results with you to let you know that your chest x-ray appeared clear?
Yes.
Okay. You ultimately received the Band-Aid and Neosporin for the cut on your elbow?
Yes, I got that on Saturday. When did I get that? On Monday?
Okay, so within a day or two of the cut occurring?
Yes.
And you said that if you are given a bond, you will reside in Tallahassee, you will follow court orders. But when you were afraid of being arrested, right?
Yes, address this. Yes. Where were you when you were arrested, ma'am?
Adelson's trial, isn't it true that you hoped that you could get to the airport before you were arrested?
I wasn't afraid of being arrested.
What were you trying to get to the airport in time for? In that jail
My
cell?
husband and I were literally shocked and traumatized at what had happened to Charlie. And he said, we need to just get some peace. We need to catch our breath. We're going to go away somewhere. And I thought it was a good idea because I couldn't think straight. I really couldn't think straight.
And it just happened to be that a country that you needed to go to get your head straight, it had to be a non-extradition country. Got it. Damn, we're such morons. Jesus. Sorry, Donna, we didn't know.
I was so upset, and so was he. And it was his idea. He said, sweetheart, let's go, just get away. We're going to just get away somewhere so we can have some time to think.
Okay, so your testimony is that you weren't trying to go to Vietnam because you wouldn't be able to be extradited from there.
So my husband actually had said, we've been to Vietnam before. we with friends, we were on vacation, and it really was like a place of peace. And so he said, if we go to a non-extradition country, then if the law enforcement decided that they wanted to arrest you or me, whatever, both, he said, we won't be sitting in a foreign prison waiting months to go back. We could buy a ticket and we could go home. And my understanding was that I could go home and I could turn myself in if that's what they wanted.
Okay, but
She's had over a year to craft this response. Over a fucking year. Damn, she's pretty fucking good. Oh my God. She's pretty good at being convincing. Jesus.
were hoping to make it out of
I'm not
America
convinced.
in time before you were arrested, right?
I wanted to get away. He wanted to get away. That's what we wanted to do. And it wasn't, we spoke to our attorneys. I asked them. They said there's no pending. We purposely called them to make sure it was legal to do it. And they said there's no, what were their words? There's no pending charges and there's no warrants. So you want to go, go. And so you ask your attorneys and they tell you that, I'm going.
But Dan did tell.
She's better than Wendy. I gotta say, she's way better than Wendy. Wendy just came off as like super phony. Wow.
Tell you, as you say in the jail call.
It was Harvey.
Knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if you'll make it out in time. I really don't. But he said you might, or you might get to the airport and they'll stop you. It could happen.
That's what he said.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to the airport knowing that they could stop you at the airport. You could end up being arrested.
Yeah, that's what Dan said.
You know what I don't hear anymore? I don't hear the heavy breathing. What happened to the heavy breathing? I think that's the issue. When you claim that you have heavy breathing and shortness of breath and you're suffering from it, you have to make sure you maintain that the entire time. And when your mind is so occupied, like right now addressing the airport arrest, it's hard to kind of multitask and do the two of them. I don't really hear the heavy breathing anymore.
Right. And when you were looking at places to go a couple of days after Charlie Adelson's trial, you were specifically looking, though, for countries that did not have extradition with the U.S.
For the reason I just told you.
Right. And the reason that you're saying that you were looking for countries with no extradition was so that you could get back faster in order to be arrested in the U.S.
No, that's not what I said. It's because, I don't know, maybe we watch too much TV or too many movies, but I've seen movies where people are stuck in like third world prisons and waiting and waiting and waiting. And my feeling was...
Isn't that usually when you commit a crime in that country? You're in their jail system and then you have a trial there at that country. And then when you're done with your sentencing, sometimes, you get shipped back to the U.S. and then you got to have a whole ass trial over here too. That happened to Mackie. I forget what her name was, but teenager killed her rich mom, planned it with her boyfriend, and she served like 10 years, like a fucking joke prison sentence in Malaysia. And then, she came back to the U.S. and they tried her all over again. Then she got sentenced here. If you guys remember the yoga teacher murder trial, the one, I forgot what her name was. Kate? What's her name? Kate? Caitlin? Oh, Caitlin Armstrong. Wait, hold on a second. I don't want to get the names mixed up. It was Caitlin Armstrong. Caitlin Armstrong. Yeah. Oh my gosh, wild. Yoga teacher, went to Costa Rica, got plastic surgery, got her nose done, and basically her face just looks horrible in my opinion because she looked way better before. And she basically got caught. They chased her down in Costa Rica, and then they brought her ass very quickly to the United States. She sat in Costa Rica, like holding cell, maybe for like a day or so. I don't know, but they brought her back like real quick.
This is not what we want to happen. If the state says they want us to come back, we'll buy a ticket. We'll come back on our own terms. We don't have to be else somewhere. We'll come back home and turn ourselves in.
Couldn't you have done that no matter?
Why go to, oh gosh, I just don't, God, this is, she is really convincing though, in my opinion. I think she does a good job of being convincing, but it's bullshit. You went to Vietnam, you weren't planning on coming back because you knew the authorities were honing on you guys. Like, you guys didn't want to be rotting in prison in your 70s. I don't know how old Harvey is, 80s or something like that. You don't want to be rotting in prison that old. It sucks. As you can experience right now, it does suck.
No matter what country you went to?
No,
No?
no.
You couldn't have found out that you had a warrant for your arrest and come back if there was an extradition
Well,
policy?
not if they would, I'm not in law enforcement, but it appears that they would notify law enforcement in that country, and then they could hold you in a jail for God knows how long, and I didn't want that to happen. So he said, well, that's why we'll do it this way, honey. That way, if they do notify us, so we get a phone call from our attorney or from law enforcement, then we'll buy a ticket, we'll go home.
Okay.
And so it would have been on our terms. That was the point. That was the reason that he thought that was a good idea.
And your
Before you
testimony,
continue, Ms. Dugan, we are over time. If you please can get to your most pertinent questions.
yes, sir. I guess your testimony ultimately, though, is that you were not trying to go to a country with no extradition because you were trying to avoid being held accountable for this charge. That's your testimony?
Being held, I didn't do this.
Okay.
Being held accountable for this is not what happened.
Being arrested for this case.
Being arrested,
Right. That was not what you were trying to avoid by trying to go to a non-extradition
No more shaking, no more heavy breathing. It's too much multitasking because she's trying to get herself out of this fucking airport arrest hole.
country.
we were trying to get our heads on straight and just breathe.
That's all I have to do.
Any redirect examination?
It's not like she was living in like middle of nowhere. This woman lives like literally in Miami. Beautiful beaches, beautiful weather. Okay, could have went to Key West. Could have went, I don't know, maybe go up north a little bit. You know, could have went to Disneyland or some shit. No, she was like, no, I'm gonna go to Vietnam, non-extradition country. And you know what? It's because I want to make it easier for you guys. You know, if you guys ever decide to arrest me, I'll buy a ticket and come back. I'm making it easier for you guys. That way, I don't have to be sitting in a jailhouse in Vietnam somewhere while they're holding me, waiting to ship me back to you. Oh my goodness. I think she's up there. She has officially upgraded, I think, to tier S. This is tier S right here. Wow. Tier S manipulator, tier S liar. Wow.
Nation for Mrs. Adelson.
Just one
This
question.
is going to be a fun trial to watch. I think it's way more fun to watch when you have the manipulators go up there and testify. Like when we had the Sarah Boone, we had the Murdoch, we had Amber Heard. They're so fascinating to watch sometimes. As disgusted and angry you might get at them, and I do too, but they're just so fascinating. Like the lies that are crafted on the spot, you know, and how they can do it so effortlessly sometimes, or sometimes they fail horribly, and you can tell the bullshit. But like, man, she's pretty fucking good. I would say she's pretty fucking good. But you know, she's in her 70s. She's probably has done this for maybe an entire lifetime, or she just practiced within the past 10 years because she saw how windy, you know, her acting skills were definitely horrible during the police interrogation. Jesus.
Question, Judge.
Fucking
You may
Donna.
proceed.
And I will say this, I did have a lot of sympathy for her when she was telling her story about, you know, the abuse in jail. Like, it was like, oh yeah, that really sucks. I'm sure this did happen and it fucking sucks to go through this. And she was like shaking and she was crying and stuff like that. I'm not saying I don't believe her that it happened, but dude, I really do think she is a master manipulator. These are the type of people that are like really fucking scary.
The testimony was you were offered an x-ray. You were never offered an MRI for your shoulder, were you?
No.
Thank you.
Girl,
You may step down,
MRI?
Mrs. Adelson. Deputy, please assist her to her seat. Does the defense have any other documents or evidence or witnesses that it intends to present?
I don't have any other witnesses that I want to present.
Donna is sharp as a scalpel. Now she's sharp as a shank.
We did file a request to take judicial notice of the motion and order in the Adam Frash case where a request was made in a charge of first-degree murder for a bond for Mr. Frash, and that was granted. Has Your Honor had an opportunity to review that?
I did. The records of the circuit court, they don't have to be judicially noticed. What the other judges have done in the past certainly are a matter of record. Procedurally, we are in a different posture than Dr. Frash was, than your client, but any argument that you believe is reasonable, you may make concerning it.
Okay, the only other thing I wanted to do, Your Honor, is as an officer of the court, I wanted to represent. We attempted to.
I'm gonna use the bathroom really quick. All right, guys, what do you guys think of Donna's performance? How was her testimony in the stand? How are you feeling about it? Five out of 10. If the judge doesn't see past his bullshit, I will be surprised. I think he does.
To obtain a copy of a no-fly order because that letter was received after Mrs. Adelson was taken into custody, and the only response we were able to get was that there's not from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program, was that there's not an open dispute of a no-fly order, so I didn't want there to appear to be a misrepresentation by myself in the motion and us not being able to present anything to the court. That's as much as they would say in response to our request. And then finally, I was glad to see that Mr. Google here is present, and I'm sorry I don't remember he's under sheriff, I think now, Mr. Google, in charge of the jail, and I just wanted to represent to the court that I did inquire about outside care, and the reason I questioned the witness about additional care from other doctors is I did inquire as to whether we could have her taken to see other doctors to get treatment that she could not get in the jail, and Mr. Google advised me that with a court order that could take place, but we were never advised that without a court order she was able to get medical treatment that she was requesting.
Ms. Dugan, you may respond to the bond motion and present any evidence you have concerning presumption of guilt evident or, proof of guilt evident or presumption. Great, go ahead.
I have two very quick witnesses as to the medical or to the security concerns. Back just a second. State calls Chelsea Wilson.
Hey, Neko, how are you doing today? Hello.
We're going to take all of it, but you can collect it for now. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may take your seat. You may examine when you're ready.
Will you state your name and spell it, please?
Chelsea Wilson, CHELSEAWILSON.
And where do you work?
Leon County Sheriff's Office.
What do you do there?
Specifically, I am assigned as criminal investigations for the jail.
All right. Did you investigate an incident reported by Donna Adelson in February of 2025?
Yes.
That occurred back in October of 2024?
Yes.
And was that the incident where she said that an inmate twisted her arm in the bathroom area and told her that she wanted the canteen?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any video footage in the area where that took place?
No, not in the bathroom.
Okay. Did she disclose to you the name of the inmate?
No.
Did she disclose whether the inmate had ever been violent again or anything that is somehow related to the inmate in custody as far as being a friend or family member?
My understanding is a one-time incident.
If she had disclosed the name of the inmate, what could be done to hopefully keep that situation from happening again?
No, well, we knew the name of the inmate. We could take measures to make sure that they were not housed together, that they were not in, for example, classes together. I don't know if she's interested in classes, but measures could absolutely be taken to make sure that they were not able to have physical contact with each other for her safety.
If we don't know that inmate's identity, though, and we can't take her out of the area where Miss Adelson lives in the jail, is the only option then to take Miss Adelson out of the area and put her in.
Oh, hey, Goleki, thank you so much for the 26 months. I appreciate it. Thank you.
In an area where she cannot not be threatened again.
Unfortunately, yes.
And did you let her know that? And if so, how did she respond?
I did, during the investigation, trying to get the inmate's name who twisted her arm. I did explain to her that I would be able to move her back into a pod where she's able to move around more, where she's able to be social, for example. And her response essentially was that she felt, although she's not able to move around much in protective custody, she felt safer there, and that it does give her a little bit more peace and quiet to review legal materials for her upcoming trial.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I don't have anything.
You may step down.
Thank you.
State calls Bobby Collins.
So state is just saying, okay, let's just keep her in protective custody then.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may take your seat. You may examine when you're ready.
Will you state your name and spell it for us, please?
Lieutenant Robert Collins, Robert Collins.
Thank you. And can you tell us where you work and what you do there?
I'm assigned at the detention. I oversee the classification unit.
Okay. How does the jail, the Leon County Detention Facility, handle when inmates are pressuring or threatening to buy them food from canteen?
Well, we interview the inmate, we gather information, providing what information that they give us. We will separate them out of harm's way and place the inmate separation, possibly follow up with incident reports or disciplinary reports.
Okay. And is there always an officer in every pod that an inmate can report an incident to, whether it be a security issue or a medical issue?
Yes, at all times.
Okay. Have there been any allegations made to the officers at Leon County Jail by Donna Adelson about any type of financial shakedown or threat in exchange for canteen, aside from the one made this month regarding the arm twist in exchange for canteen?
Not that I'm aware of. I only reviewed 2 incidents reports from February 3rd.
Okay, those were the ones made this month on February 3rd?
That is correct.
Okay, and those were the incidents that the defense cited in their motion?
Correct.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
You may step down, Lieutenant. Thank you. Student, do you have any evidence that you wish to enter pertaining to the Arthur aspect of this?
I do, Judge. At this time, I'd move, and I'll just go through all of them at once. States Exhibit 1, which is the probable cause affidavit for Donna Adelson. States Composite 2, which are the transcripts from Charlie Adelson's trial, which Your Honor presided over. States Exhibit 3, which are a PDF of slides from Chris Corbett's PowerPoint presentation that only feature the analysis of Donna Adelson's travel the night of July 18th, 2014. The open line jail call that we've referred to today from November 7th, and the transcript of, that's States 4, the transcript of that call, which is States 5. States Exhibit 6,
Oh, the transcript. Has it not been uploaded yet? Maybe I can find the transcript.
which is a chat with a Vietnam visa on WhatsApp by Donna Adelson. States Exhibit 7, which are excerpts from WhatsApp conversation between Adelson and Donna Adelson. And then finally, States Exhibit 8, which is a letter from the Markell family to the court, which defense has reviewed regarding their wishes for bond.
Concerning the state's exhibits, does the defense have any objection or anything to raise?
With respect to States Exhibits 4 and 5, renew our objection, as we believe the call should be suppressed, as well as the excerpt from the call and the transcript, so we would object on that basis.
Relates to whether the court will consider Exhibits 4 and 5 that will be tied to the order of suppression as to all other matters. Is there any objection?
No, Judge.
Court reserves whether Exhibits 4 and 5, and I believe which other ones were you contesting?
Just 4 and 5.
4 and 5 will be admitted. All other exhibits offered by the state for the purposes of Arthur and bond will be admitted at this time. Ms. Dugan, do you have all of these available?
I do.
The case can approach.
Okay, and then 1 through 7 are all on flash drive.
And the state's provided us
Upload the exhibits. Let me see it.
We have those as well.
All right, Ms. Dugan, you may make your final argument concerning the Arthur standard and also bond.
Yes, sir. I guess I'll go with Arthur Standard first. As to State Exhibit 2, the transcripts from Charlie Adelson's trial, I think that the parts of this trial that were most relevant to whether we've met the standard in Donna Adelson's case are the emails that show Donna Adelson's motivation to commit the crime when she voices her hatred towards Dan Markell, strategizes ways to get Wendy Adelson and her sons to live in South Florida. the thousands of dollars worth of checks we saw in that trial that were written to Meg Banois, signed by Donna Adelson when Meg Banois never worked for the family in any capacity. Meg Banois' testimony that Charlie Adelson was the...
Oh, so this is the part one that we're talking about, I think. Phase one? Phase one, prosecution has a burden of proof, meaning they have to show there's no question of the defendant's guilt.
About her being the middleman between Charlie Adelson and the hitman for this murder, and how on July 18th, 2014, which was the night of the murder, that Charlie gave her money at his home, which she then delivered to the hitman. Meg Banois saying that she learned that night, the night of July 18th, that Charlie Adelson and his parents had just been at the home. It was her understanding that Donna Adelson had washed the money and the money was damp. For the State's Exhibit 3, which was the travel analysis, basically these slides show that Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson's traveled from their home in Miami to Orlando on the night of July 18, 2014. At a certain point, Donna Adelson texts Charlie Adelson, "I'm outside your house," or "outside your house." Charlie Adelson then responds a little while later with 10 minutes. Cell tower analysis shows that Charlie Adelson is inconsistent with his house 10 minutes later, and when you look at the time it took for Donna Adelson to travel from the area of Charlie Adelson's home to the next point with location data for her, north of Charlie Adelson's home, it shows that it should be about a 45-minute trip, but it shows that it took her 1 hour and 54 minutes. That shows there was 1 hour and 9 minutes unaccounted for during the time when she would have been waiting for Charlie Adelson at his house and could have stayed there for about half an hour once he arrived. And that could be consistent with her taking some of the money to Charlie Adelson's home, as Meg Banois describes. Exhibit 4 is the open line jail call we've already heard today. On page 8, she does say, after speaking with Dan this morning, after knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if we'll make it out in time, I really don't, but Dan says you make it to the airport or they may stop you. It could happen, but it's worth a try. She then says on page 16 that they've looked it up over and over because things change, whether there's from Vietnam. They could go to Korea or China because there's no extradition there. We are looking for places where there's no extradition. State's Exhibit 6, which is the chat with Vietnam Visa on WhatsApp. In that first message, that service tells Donna Adelson that all of the messages are encrypted and no one can read them. She began on this WhatsApp trying to get the visas during the afternoon of November 7th. That's less than 24 hours after the trial transcripts and State Deposit 2 reflect that there was a jury verdict in Charlie Adelson's trial. Donna Adelson says in that conversation that she needs an emergency fast-track visa for her and her husband. When given the option of 30 or 90-day visa, she chooses 90, unless she can only do 30, and in that case, she'll do it and just extend it. She then sends passport pictures and pays for the visas. Several days later, she says to the service that she's getting nervous because she hasn't received the visas yet, and she's typing all of that in all caps. She says her flight is booked at that point, which is the one-way trip to Vietnam with a layover in Dubai. That's within days of trial.
What a moron. I forgot that she booked a one-way trip. Oh, gosh. Not even a round trip. Like, hey, we actually had, we were planning on coming back. No, one-way trip. Oh, my gosh.
Charlie Adelson's verdict. The chat shows that...
They didn't want to spend the money, I guess. They didn't want to spend the money to show that, hey, you might come back.
She got the visa just in time, I think the day before the flight, and then she ended up being arrested on the jetway in Miami right before she boarded the one-way trip to Vietnam. We also have the excerpts from the WhatsApp with Charlie Adelson, State's Exhibit 7. This is a conversation that the court has seen before. We've had a motion hearing about it, I believe, where basically we were able to get these messages in 2023 when Donna Adelson was arrested and we seized her cell phone. This is from the WhatsApp with Charlie Adelson on her phone. These are WhatsApp messages, though, that occurred in August of 2016. And there's a conversation between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson where Charlie Adelson is basically workshopping.
She didn't delete her WhatsApp messages from 2016? She was holding on to it for this long? Why?
Ideas that maybe the killer was a coke dealer and that Danny was just buying drugs from him. And they don't mention anything about extortion, which ended up being Charlie Adelson's defense at trial, that he didn't intend for this to happen, that he was extorted, and that he didn't do this. And finally, the letter from the Martel family.
Wait, what was the other one again? Oh my goodness.
Mention anything about extortion, which is a conversation between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson, where Charlie Adelson is basically workshopping ideas that maybe the killer was a coke dealer and that Danny was just buying drugs from him. And they don't mention anything about extortion, which ended up being Charlie Adelson's defense at trial, that he didn't intend for this to happen, that he was extorted, and that he didn't do this. And finally, the letter from the Martel family. Given the totality of the evidence in this case, the state does meet the burden under Arthur. The state has met its burden for every defendant who has been charged in this case and had an Arthur hearing. They have all been held in custody until trial. And none of them tried to flee to a non-extraditable country to avoid being charged before arrest. If court somehow believes the state falls short, though, the defendant should still be held no bond because she is absolutely a flight risk, given her past actions. more so now than ever, now that she has actually been charged. What we saw her talking about on the jail call and doing in the visa chat and going to the airport for and being arrested there, that was all before she was even arrested, when she just knew that the charge was coming. Now she has been charged, she is facing life in prison, so I think she's more of a flight risk than ever when you consider a totality of all of that information. As to the bond argument, we heard from, Mike Hayden, who's the medical administration. All of the defendants' complaints have been evaluated. Medical staff has treated them. She's been able to see a doctor within a day or two. That is faster than most of us who are out of custody could see our doctors. She was given Band-Aid and Neosporin for the cut on her arm when she bumped into the laundry machine. Sometimes accidents like that happen, and that could also happen to her out of custody as well as it could happen to her in custody, to bump into something and get a cut. We heard about her breathing and pain issues. Doctors ordered x-rays to make sure nothing more was going on, and the x-rays were negative. Medical staff can provide treatment for any medical needs, whether it be on-site or them having to go to a hospital, but they also need evidence of what's wrong and what needs to be treated beyond the inmate just saying that they hurt. And to see a specialist, there does need to be a necessity. If there's a necessity, Leon County Jail will recognize that and make the necessary referrals. Ms. Adelson has complained about the jail being too loud. The food is not good, but she is in jail. It's not the Four Seasons. All of her necessities are being met, and she should bring a medical necessity to the staff's attention, they will continue being met. As far as security is concerned, she wouldn't provide the identity of the inmate that caused the concern.
Donna could have been in a White Lotus right now. She was like, I wish I went to Vietnam, I wish I could have been in the White Lotus.
If she would, then she could remain where she is while the other inmate is taken out. However, because she won't disclose, the only option right now is her being in protective custody. But as she did tell the investigator, that does, even though I'm sure it's not very exciting, its downsides, it is a quiet place where she can prepare more for trial. And so she's saying that she prefers that right now. The state asks that she continue to be held no bond at Leon County Jail because she's safe there and it will guarantee her presence at trial.
Final argument from the defense.
I wonder what's their rules, though, about how long someone can be in protective custody for. Because is it essentially the same thing as being in solitary confinement? Seems like it.
With respect to Arthur and every other defendant prior to Ms. Adelson being held and Arthur being met, Ms. Adelson isn't the prior folks. She's not the ones who showed up at Carl's residence with a firearm, who planned to kill him and then did shoot him at very close range and take his life. She's not them. There's proof there. They can meet their burden there, clearly. That's not what Mrs. Adelson is even alleged to have done. In this case, did they hold Charlie? Yes, they did. They met his burden too. Proof against Charlie is very different. I'm representing, Your Honor, a woman who stands before this court, and an argument out of the state's mouth literally is what I put in my motion. She said some bad things about her future ex-son-in-law prior to a divorce being granted. She cut some paychecks out of Charlie Adelson's business, and it was her job to cut the paychecks, and at his instruction, she cut paychecks to Catherine Magdanawa. When her daughter called to say that her soon-to-be or her ex-husband had been shot and killed, Ms. Adelson got in her car with her husband and drove from Miami to Tallahassee, and they're elderly folks, and that's a part of the record. It's a natural course of travel from Miami.
Are we just sick of the same arguments over and over again? Like, we're not even going to try to get creative. We're not even going to pivot from Charlie's defense. It's just the same fucking argument. Like, this is going to be a snooze during the trial. I don't know. I was hoping they would do something different.
Miami up to Tallahassee to go through the Orlando area. The state actually said in its argument that the time that lapsed between when they showed the cell phone records of Donna Adelson and being near Charlie Adelson's house, and then when Charlie says he's going to get back, could be consistent with Mrs. Adelson stopping there and giving them this alleged pre-washed money. Could be consistent is not the Arthur standard. It's proof evident, presumption great. And they simply...
Proof evident or presumption.
Or presumption great. And they don't have that in this case, Judge. What they have is the strongest, could be consistent with. Their entire case against Mrs. Adelson is speculation. The problem here is not one problem, that health issues are not being taken care of, or sleep is being deprived, or you know, she's not getting the food that she likes. Nobody's complaining about the fact that she's not getting food that she doesn't like. She's gained a third of her body weight. They can't protect her in the jail. They've testified themselves. There are no cameras inside the area where they use the restroom, the area where they take the shower, where these washing machines are. There are no guards in there. There's no video in there. So if she disclosed the name, which she's willing to do in camera to the court with nobody else present because she knows she's going to be retaliated against, they can't protect her from retaliation. If they put her back in the annex and some girlfriends or friends of this woman that she rats out finds out that she's back in there, they can take her down in the bathroom, and the guards who are sitting behind a glass being protected themselves aren't even going to know what's happening until it's too late. So providing the name doesn't do that. I have a
Before you
client.
go on, Ms. Fulford, as to the sheriff's role in this, he has a constitutional responsibility to all inmates. Also, your client has the ability to pursue a writ of mandamus if the sheriff will not fulfill his obligations. Is there a reason this has not been pursued if the situation is, as you allege through your motion and testimony?
Because that's not the only issue we have, Judge, which is what I was getting to. What we have before us is a woman who's 75 years old. She's elderly. She has health issues that aren't being addressed, but there's more. She's not getting any sleep. She's given medication between 11:30 and 1:30 at night, maybe getting to sleep by 2 o'clock in the morning, waking back up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. We're not asking that she get special treatment. She's on trial for her life in a town where everybody believes she's guilty. That for 10 years, it's been the same story, that the mafia mother has planned out this homicide and had Dan Markell killed on this evidence that could be consistent with, and that's not what we have. We can't prepare her for trial under these circumstances. Can we go and visit with her at the jail? Yes, we can. Do we have contact visits with her where we can prepare? Yes, we do. But we can't be up there 5 days a week. We can't be up there 7 days a week. We can't be there for lengthy hours. We're not the only ones who are requesting that time. When we got the medical records from the state last week, there was one time that the jail was able to squeeze us in for 1 hour to go through the medical records with her. Over 300 pages of medical records. And we had other things to do in that time for us to meet with her. And I'm not criticizing the sheriff's office, and I'm not criticizing the jail. The circumstances are what the circumstances are. But if she remains in the jail, we simply cannot have her prepared to testify and assist with preparation of her defense. I cannot have an attorney-client privilege call with her there. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. This phone system that they have, they say that's not recorded, and we get cut off. It says we're making third-party calls. Neither one of us has made a move. Nothing's happening. We get cut off in the middle of the calls. She has this labored breathing. If they can't find anything in the x-rays, I'm certainly not a doctor. I don't know why she's got it, but I have to start yelling to have her to stop talking because she's breathing so loud, I can't hear a thing she's even saying. She did not flee. She did not flee prosecution.
Oh, God, here we go. Hey, Sarah, how are you doing today? All right, tell us about how her not fleeing to Vietnam was a thing.
She was told, and witnesses for her were told, there was no prosecution. There was no warrant for her arrest. That it was perfectly fine, and the state knows this. Their own investigator told a family friend, there's no warrant. They can travel. They didn't attempt to flee being prosecuted. They were told there was no warrant.
Is this
for
part of the
arrest.
evidence that's in the record, or are you just making argument generally about this?
I'm making argument generally at this point, Judge, but the state knows it. If they're going to claim that she was actually fleeing, they know better. They know that their own office said it was okay for her to travel. And where did she get to? Absolutely nowhere. And they have absolutely zero evidence to rebut her testimony that she was not going to flee
I think she's Filipino. Katie McBanuel. I think it's Filipino.
Prosecution. She was just going to get away to clear her head. In fact, she thought she wasn't being charged. And that's all the evidence that she had. Now, if we were coming before you and she had actually fled and someone had to bring her back, I wouldn't put my name on a motion saying give us a bond. But this isn't the first time that people have gotten a bond. Even people who fail to appear ultimately get bonds sometimes. Your Honor's aware of that. That does take place. People who violate their can get put back out while their hearing is pending for that violation of probation.
I love her passion, though. I love her passion for defending her client.
If she has already surrendered her passport, she doesn't have a visa, she agrees not to drive, an electronic monitor is placed on her, she resides in Leon County, has to check in with pretrial as many times as you say she has to check in, can only leave for limited purposes, she's not going anywhere. And we're not asking, let's let her go back to Miami where she has an international airport that she can hop on and be gone before anybody knows that her bracelet is going off. We're asking that she be held right here, that she be court-ordered to stay here with a monitor on, be allowed to be away from that home, to go to doctor's visits, get any medical treatment that she needs, come to court, be with her lawyers, and prepare her trial. We're not asking for a fancy hotel or anything else, and quite frankly, that's a little bit insulting considering the health conditions that she has.
Well, where's Harvey staying? I don't know. Where Harvey decides to stay in Tallahassee, it might be better than a fancy hotel.
To suggest that she's looking to be put up somewhere. The one thing the state fails to remember is she's presumed innocent. No, the Leon County Jail is not a Four Seasons hotel, but she's not supposed to be punished yet, right? She hasn't been convicted of anything.
There is a difference between pretrial detention
right.
and
she's being punished at this point. When you take not one of these things, but all of these things together, she doesn't stand a chance of being actually ready to testify for trial. That cannot take place under the conditions that she's facing. She's in extreme pain. She's not getting any sleep. Her diet is garbage.
I mean, she did great. She did great today when she was testifying about, not fleeing to Vietnam.
It's just not going to happen, Judge. And if we were asking for something lenient, I could see the state's opposition. But we're not. We're asking for you to hold her outside of the jail in the most stringent conditions she could possibly be monitored, just to allow her to be with her attorneys, get her doctor's appointments, and get ready for the trial that her entire life depends upon. And I would argue the state has not met its burden. Thank you.
Very well. I will review the admitted exhibits before making a ruling. We are in recess. This concludes the hearings. You may take Mrs. Adelson downstairs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, we'll have to wait. Jail sucks. All right, let's watch Donna leave. I'll do a little recap before we end.
Thank you. You think I need to copy it too, because you can see through it?
Bailiffs, please assist her out.
Okay.
Everyone
Bailiff is a
else can
cutie?
step out of the courtroom at this point. We
Yeah,
are
she's pretty.
done.
I like her red glasses. Bye, Miss Dugan. You did an excellent job. Here comes Donna. Bye, Donna. She's gonna get worse with prison. Oh boy. Okay, that was quite of a long hearing. All right, y'all. So we had an Arthur hearing today. Essentially, Donna wants to be out on bond for the time being until her trial in June, I believe. I believe that's her trial date right now. She wants to be out on bond. She says, jail sucks. Yeah, medical issues. Doesn't have attorney-client private conversations. It's like they're having conversations. Everyone can hear. She talks about getting abused by other inmates, and to the point it was so bad that she, had this like arm injury from being ganged up, and then she had to order commissary for this other inmate, being bullied in jail, intimidation, and not getting proper medical issues, medical stuff addressed, such as getting her tiny little delicate ear canals cleaned by a specialty ENT. But I don't know. We got Donna's version of it. Sarah Dugan did try to rebut some of this by saying that, like, oh, you said that you needed these like steroid injections into your spine, but it seems like it was offered to you, but you rejected it. And Donna's like, no, that's not true. It was never offered to me. They said that they don't do that type of thing. And then Sarah Dugan also brought up the medical record where it says that, well, you reported having mild pain. And she's like, no, I didn't say mild pain. I said it was like extreme sharp pain. So we don't know if Donna's lying, or maybe the person who was writing down the information for the medical records, maybe they wrote it down incorrectly. That could happen. Donna, again, wants to be out on bond, and there are two phases for this Arthur hearing. I'm going to pull this up here. So phase one for the Arthur hearing, they have to talk about that there is no question of the defendant's guilt, which is why Sarah Dugan went up there and addressed, okay, well, here are the reasons why we think Donna is guilty. She talks about the emails, the hate for Dan. There were strategies for getting Wendy to move from Tallahassee to the Miami area. There was checks that Donna signed paying Katie McBenoit. Katie McBenoit was the one who was the liaison for the two hitmen. There was Donna giving money to Charlie and Donna washing the money, literally washing the money before Charlie gave it to Catherine McBenoit and before she gave it to the hitman. And then also Donna's travel route from Miami to Orlando the night of the murder, essentially showing that Donna went by Charlie's house to drop off this large sum of money. They also talk about, what is phase 2? Phase 2 is, whether or not the bond is appropriate. Court will consider things such as the defendant's prior record, seriousness of the crime, and whether or not the defendant poses a flight risk or a danger to society. So prior records, seems like she hasn't been arrested before, but sometimes murder is your first crime. The seriousness of the crime, pretty fucking serious. Hiring hitmen to kill your daughter's ex-husband just because you couldn't get what you wanted, because you wanted your daughter and the grandchildren to be living with you in Miami. Whether or not the defendant poses a flight risk, that was funny. We have to address that. And then the danger to society. She probably doesn't pose a danger to society. For the past 10 years, I don't think she's got anyone killed. But the flight risk thing. The flight risk thing. Well, Donna did testify in the stand today. She basically said that, the reason why we chose to go to a non-extradition country is because, let me go to big screen here. It's not because I was trying to flee. It wasn't because, if you guys were planning to arrest me, they wouldn't be able to ship me back from Vietnam to the USA. It's because Harvey was the one. Blame it on Harvey. Harvey was the one who wanted to go to Vietnam. And the reason why we chose a non-extradition country, it's because if it's an extradition country and you guys decide to arrest us, they might hold us in the, she said third country prison for who knows how long. And we don't want to be in a third country prison. And so she was like, the reason why we chose a non-extradition country is because if you guys, decide to arrest us, we will willingly buy our own tickets and fly back to the country. We don't want to be stuck in this prison or this jail. That was her excuse. And you know what? I think she gave a very, very convincing performance. Do I believe it? Fuck no. No, she went there because she wanted to escape there and she wasn't planning on coming back. She knew that everything was closing in on her and her family. The hitman got arrested. They got convicted. Catherine McBenoit arrested, convicted. Her son, Charlie Adelson, arrested, convicted. She was next. She fucking fled to Vietnam. And she was trying to say that I wasn't fleeing to Vietnam. I was planning on coming back. If y'all needed to arrest me, I would have definitely came back. We would have bought tickets. Sure, Donna. Sure. But she sure did have my sympathy when she was talking about the abuse that she was enduring in jail, when she was talking about other inmates, being harassed, being bullied and stuff like that. I don't doubt that she was the target. She's old, she's weak, she's rich, she's white. I don't doubt that she was a target. Now, am I going to believe her story 100%? After hearing her talk about her explanation about the not fleeing to an extradition country, Jesus, it's hard because now I'm 100% for certain. I'm like, okay, she's a master manipulator. We can see her doing it on the stand while she's testifying. Because up until this point, we haven't really seen too much of Donna. I mean, we've heard a lot of jailhouse calls, I guess, but we've heard the jailhouse calls. She didn't testify in any of the previous trials at all. Not even Charlie. She wasn't even in the courtroom in Charlie's trial. And I think it's because she was afraid if she sat there, they might arrest her on the spot. If they find something that happens, one of the testimonies or the emails or something like that. I think that's the reason why her and Harvey never showed up for Charlie's trial. Think about it. If you think your son is innocent, wouldn't you be there to support him? If you are innocent, wouldn't you be there to support him in real life? But she didn't show up at all. So she talks about how, the food in jail sucks. They feed her nothing but carbs. She gets spaghetti, mashed potatoes, and bread, and then white bread and cornbread or something like that. And she says she's gained so much fucking weight. No access to exercise, lack of sleep. She has a hard time going back to sleep after being woken up to take medication or being woken up for breakfast. It's like, yeah, it probably sucks. She complains about the mattress. It's not good for her sciatica pain, which I can believe. You have a shitty mattress that you're sleeping on, you're probably not going to get a good night's sleep. And then your back, neck pain, shoulder pain. Yeah, I could totally see that. Lack of privacy. However, since these incidents, they have moved her in protective custody, which sounds like solitary confinement. And I think Sarah Dugan, the state, did a really good job at saying, well, now you're in solitary confinement and you've actually said that you prefer to be here because what is it? It's more quiet now. You probably get better sleep and then you probably have privacy preparing for your legal stuff. So I think that keeping her in protective custody until her trial date of June, which is about 3 months away, that's probably the move right there. Having her out on bond, she's still got a wealth of resources, and you know, she's got friends. It seems like she had friends that were with her when she was planning on fleeing the country. You know, her estate attorney was there. So yeah, keep her in protective custody. Don't let her out on bond because you know, who knows what she's going to be doing. Nobody's flying back to be arrested. Please. I know. She's like, I'm such a good person. I was making it easier. I mean, we were going through such hardships with like Charlie being convicted. And oh my God, it was just so shocking. We just needed to go on vacation somewhere. Like, I was planning on coming back. If you guys were going to arrest me and Harvey, we would have came back. What do you mean? We're good people. Like, fuck off. Anyways, so that's today's hearing. That was Donna. We got to hear her testify in the stand. And boy, it's possible that she could be very convincing to the jury. Jesus. Because if you're new to this case, you haven't heard anything. Yeah. But you know what? I'm confident the state would do a good job. I was very, very happy with Georgia Kappelman's cross-examination of Charlie. Sarah Dugan has done a good job too. So I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. But man, when she was testifying in the stand today, she did a really good job being convincing. Now, another major thing that she was complaining about was having breathing issues. There are points when she was talking about it, and I could hear her heaving on the stand. I'm like, oh, wow, that is pretty loud. But, you know, I didn't notice that when she was explaining the extradition to the country thing, because I think her mind was way too focused on explaining out this lie, and she had a hard time multitasking and then maintaining the heaviness of breathing thing. So I don't know, or maybe the heaviness of breathing comes and goes, but I'm just saying that like when she was being grilled on the stand, I didn't hear the heaviness of breathing anymore. I didn't see the shakiness that she was I mean, I think at some point she was probably really nervous when she was testifying, but yeah, it's like when your mind is so focused on trying to explain a lie, it's like I don't see the shakiness anymore, I don't see the heavy breathing, or I don't hear the heavy breathing. So maybe, man, maybe she did dupe me for a second there because I was like, oh, yeah, she looks pretty awful. Anyways, guys, that's about it. That's about it for today. Can you imagine how toxic she is when no person of authority is there to rein her in? Oh, yeah, I bet. She's going to die in prison. She deserves it. She took a father away from the children. Yep. This is a woman who has been, for 10 years, has been out, enjoying her life, living her life, spending the time with her grandchildren. You know what's really sad is Dan Markel's parents have been suffering for so long, and they barely even have a relationship with their grandchildren. Yeah, super sad. Will Georgia be there? Yes, Georgia Kappelman. I think she just wasn't here today, but we normally see her for the hearings. But oh boy, I'm just yeah, she's really good at I think she's really good at testifying. I think she's good at being trying to be convincing. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today for Donna Adelson. If you guys weren't here for the entire stream, I would do a separate video where I don't know what I'm going to do in the video. I might just like pull out the crazy parts of today's hearing and put it together. I think that's what we'll do. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I wonder if rich people need those expensive procedures or the doctors are just like making money. I don't know. Could be both. Could be a mix of everything. Could be a comfort thing. There's a time where I was having like back and neck issues, and I was doing like all these things to fix it. It was like chiro, it was acupuncture. What else was there? What else did I do? Anyways, I was doing like a bunch of shit. And then it was like these like suction cup thing, you know? I don't know. None of that shit worked though. At the end of the day, it really was just for me at least, it was just doing physical therapy. And then being really mindful of your posture. Getting up, being more active, working out, like the stuff that's like not like easy one-time fixers. It's like dedication. Like you got to do some exercises, you know, you got to stretch, you got to do this, you got to do that. You got to make sure you're mindful, not sitting in one position for too long or laying down and watching TV for too long. So that ended up just helping me immensely. But also it's like, I got to sleep on a good mattress. I got to have my pillow with me. You know, if I was in jail, it would suck because I would be sleeping on a shitty mattress. I wouldn't have the pillow that I want. And yeah, won't have access to exercise. Oh boy. So yeah, that's it for today. We had an Arthur hearing for Donna Adelson to see whether or not she's going to get out on bond. The judge has reserved their ruling, and there was also a motion to suppress evidence, which is the phone call that Donna Adelson made. And then, Charlie made the phone call after he was convicted, and Donna Adelson forgot to hang up the phone call, and the recording continued recording it. I didn't recap that, I guess. So essentially, the state was arguing that, well, Donna Adelson didn't hang up the call. She failed to end the call. There is a recording in the beginning that says, you know, your call is being recorded. If you don't want to have the recording, then hang up. And so when she failed to hang up, anything goes. The defense was trying to say that there was an expectation of privacy, even though she forgot to hang up. The judge says that he will reserve the ruling on that one as well. So we'll have to wait to see what he rules on, the bond stuff, and then the motion to exclude the recorded call. I don't know. To me, I feel like no one both deny the motion to exclude and also deny her to be out on bond. All right, guys, that's about it for today. I'll keep an eye out for the Donna stuff. I got to catch up with Corey Richins, and I think there's a lot of stuff happening in the Blake Lively and the Justin Baldoni stuff too. I don't know. And then, there's a interview that Kevin Franke did recently. And I think Kevin Franke also appeared in front of, I don't know. I just got a notification on like Twitter or something that Kevin Franke was talking about his daughter's experience with the abusers. I definitely want to check it out. I hope the jury will see straight through her. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty confident that the state will do a good job. They seem pretty confident in Charlie Adelson. And then like the Charlie Adelson was, I don't know, was it a tough one? Charlie Adelson. Jeez, I wish I had time to watch the trial. I watched bits and pieces of it, but when the trial was happening live, I had COVID, and I was like, oh, I'm not watching this. I'm just going to play video games. It was awful. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. And I don't know, the upcoming stream, what are we going to do? I think next week we might have the continuation of the Karen Reed stuff because, oh my God, the Karen Reed hearing, the last two hearings have been fucking crazy. Holy shit. I can't wait to see what happens with the Karen Reed stuff. But I think next week there's another Karen Reed hearing. Let's see what I have. Mangione already happened, I think. Donna Adelson, that was today. Yeah, Karen Reed is next. Is it next week? March 4th, March 5th? Is that next week? I think it might be. Oh, it is next week. Okay. More Karen Reed stuff next week. Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to it. All right, y'all. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. If you guys are not caught up with Donna Adelson, we posted a video last week. And then if you're not caught up with Karen Reed, we also posted a video last week. Although I don't know if I'll do a video about yesterday's hearing. Just too much happened. Too much. I don't know if I have that much time that I want to dedicate to it. But that's it for today. You guys have a good one. If you guys haven't already, feel free to subscribe. Support the channel. Hit the like button and like the stream. And all the guys who are here lurking, I appreciate you guys being here. And thank you so much for chatting. Thanks for keeping me busy. Today was wild, but not as wild as yesterday. All right, guys. Bye. I'll see you guys.